How's it going, everybody? This is Martin Stokes here.
And this is Dean Scurry.
And I am a traveller.
And I'm a countryman.
Welcome to A Traveller
and a Countryman podcast. Episode 25. We have the amazing John Connors in the room. Welcome, John.
Very welcome, John.
Thanks for having me, boys. It's a nice little setup you have here. I really like.
2 travellers and a countryman tonight.
That's right, yeah. This is
He's
the first time, is it?
Huh?
It's the first time, yeah.
If there was 10 of you wouldn't be enough for me.
Will we carve shield?
We're waiting to get the podcast done. When the microphones are off.
You can do what you want. You can book the Inigo. You can do any of them random things.
Yeah.
But chatting is where it's at. If you can't talk, get out of the kitchen.
You'll be sorry for that now.
I'm making you sound. Come on.
If we record, we want to get locked up.
So, a traveller and a countryman podcast. We just done our first live podcast the other day. As far as I'm aware, it's the first live podcast with an audience in the Access Theatre. It was Martin's first time on stage. So well done, Martin.
See, I actually thought Access was a pub all these years.
Did you?
So that was that's why I didn't think you had any chance of getting into it.
How did it go for you, boys?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
it was interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Lynn was your guest, was it?
Lynn was the guest. It was
Lynn
like
Rowan.
we took a few risks. Like it was at 10 o'clock in the morning, John.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
Early, yeah.
But it was part of a whole thing that I'm doing in the community, just to build up the confidence. So part of Ballymun Health and Fitness Festival and Ballymun Summit.
Did you get an audience?
I told him, Dean had said 10 o'clock in the morning is going to be no good to travellers.
Yeah.
But travellers turned up.
2. There was a few travellers at it, yeah. It was about 150 people altogether, I'd say.
That's good. That's very good.
It's good for that room. That room's about 200.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah.
150 people is an audience.
Yeah, it's a nice audience.
It's really interesting anyway. The good old topics as well as it was.
And we kind of played it loose, covered some of the stuff that we're into and some of the topics that Lynn is into, and there was a bit of crossover. You know what I mean? Like poverty, working classness, housing, the perception of poor people, the perception of travellers, that type of stuff. It was nice.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that keep us apart is that we don't realise how similar we actually are, you know. The most discrimination we get is from working class people. And I think a part of that for me is that even travellers, we don't acknowledge that working class people go through discrimination too.
That's right, absolutely.
Classism, do you know what I mean? And they're getting an opportunity to hate on somebody else because they're getting classism, because it's one thing we don't want to actually talk about in the country is classism. For the first time ever now, I'd say we're probably talking about traveller discrimination, which is the worst by any fucking study, any way you want to look at it. But I think classism is a real problem. I think the danger for the elites is when travellers and working class people gather together, because I think together we can be a powerful force. And it's great to see you two doing this. And I did a thing the other day for a Traveller Pride in Ballyfermot, all settled fellas and travellers, men, women, all coming together making art.
Very good.
You know, writing songs, performing. And I was like, this is the way it should be, you know what I mean? Because too often we have this perception of each other, and, you know, like we might think that, they fucking hate us, right? And you only think we're knackers, or fuck him, the countryman's bastard.
Yes.
And they think we're, you know, and then you meet, and then it's nothing but negativity, you know.
Yes,
so
that's right.
You have to fucking break down the barriers and realise we're all fucking human. We're way, way more similar than we are different. But at the same time, our differences should be recognised and appreciated.
That's right.
You know, because, people come up sometimes and say, John, we're all the same. You know, we're not all the same, but we're definitely very similar.
Yes.
But we have differences. That's the point of this whole thing. Recognise the differences, be okay with the differences. So it's the best thing about culture. It's the best thing about learning about different cultures, is that you're constantly fucking interacting with different people, different customs, different practices, different traditions, and you can learn on that shit. And that's the way forward, because politics is oftentimes, I think, the most damning part of this. It's the hardest way to break through with people, when it's too political. Whereas the two of you just sitting down having fucking chats together, that's the way to do it. That's the fucking human thing, you know, and doing it through art or do it through, podcasts. And I think this is an important platform for travellers, that people come together, you know. You look at Ballymun as a place. Ballymun is a character, if you want to look at it. Ballymun is one of the most disenfranchised and discriminated against and stigmatised places in Ireland.
That's right, 100%.
So Ballymun people, like where I'm from in Darndale, you know, these are people being stigmatised as well as travellers. And it's when we need as travellers also they go through that. They go through, not to the extent we do, but they do go through it. We recognise that. I think that's something that can bring us together.
Yeah.
And we'll be all on the same fight together, because really it's us against the super elites, the ones who are, creating policy and making policies that affects us all at the bottom anyway.
Yeah, and part of it is also us against ourselves sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're our own worst non-supporter.
Totally.
for me, when I start to be kind to myself and support myself, then I can start to be kind to Martin and support him.
Yeah.
And then the third thing that happens is we do that together with each other. And this chemical thing happens. And I fall in love with him and he falls in love with me. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, and look, Dean, as well as that, like, own worst enemy, everybody can be wrong. Like, literally our worst enemy is ourselves. We get in the way of ourselves. That voice in the head is a more powerful voice than anybody else criticising you. That voice of doubt telling you not to do this, telling you you're not worthy, telling you you're not good enough. And that's coming from all the place of hurt, all the place of trauma, everything you went through, and that's affecting your behaviour. And you need to become aware of that process. And what travellers do, and I see what working class people do, we adapt a victim mentality. And I think it's very important to understand if you are a victim of oppression, discrimination, right, especially from a state level or whatever. I think it's very important to recognise that. But having the victim mentality is a completely different thing. Because when you have a victim mentality, what happens is you just end up wasting your life thinking you'll never do nothing with it.
That's right, 100%.
And you'll never get on. And no one will ever give me a chance when you have to make your own chances. And you can be 70 years of age then on your deathbed, having never tried, having never, took a swing at life. And you can be crippled by that fucking victim mentality. And that's what I say to travellers all the time. I say to working class people, get over your fucking self. Get over the victim mentality. It is going to be harder for you, than it might be for other people from let's say, privileged backgrounds, economically privileged backgrounds. It's going to be harder. But if it's going to be harder, that means that you're going to have to jump over more hurdles. That means that you're going to be better at what you do. You're going to be more skilled. You're going to have more tools. They're going to be sharper tools. So that should never deter us from fucking getting on in life. Victim mentality is the worst thing you can happen to a human being, because then you have no self-esteem, you have no nothing, you have no drive in life. And if you take away that, no purpose. If you have no purpose, you're gone. Like, you need a purpose, you need a passion, meaning, you need them things. You don't get them, you're fucked in life, you're lost. And what are you going to do? You're going to be sniffing your brains out at the weekend. You're going to be drinking every night. You're going to be getting in fights.
Oh,
you're going to be fucking baiting up your wife. With all these things come from not having that meaning, the purpose, the passion, you know what I mean?
Viktor Frankl, the why.
Yeah, exactly. The man search for meaning, yeah.
Yeah, if we get the why, the how takes care of itself.
Yeah.
And sometimes we fall into the trap of I shouldn't have to try harder than anyone else. Well, look, you have the ball of shite you have.
Yeah.
You have to work with it. Are you going to
100%.
look for someone else's life?
But that's the thing, you're competing with yourself. That's the only person you're competing with is yourself, and that fucking voice. That voice can be really loud or it can be really like a whisper. Sometimes it'll even disappear. And that all depends on where you are in your life and how you're behaving in your life.
What do you think caused that? What do you think brings that on, though?
I think if you're out, we all have that voice. We all have, no one's fully sure of himself. We all are faking until we make it. We're all, when you step, like I've often, whatever it was, stepped from one level to another level in film or whatever it was, or directing or acting to directing, and I went, Jesus, I'm fucked here. I don't know what I'm doing, you know what I mean? But you're faking until you make it.
Yes.
But that voice in your head, the volume of that voice depends on how you're treating yourself. So if I'm fucking blackguarding and drinking and stuff, eating bad food and gaining weight and not training, that voice is screaming in my head. Yeah, worthless, good for nothing, fucking idiot. You're only bluffing people. You've no talent. How are you fooling people? The only good acting you're doing is fooling people. But if I'm looking after myself and I'm not doing those things, that's only a whisper, and sometimes it might even disappear. Think about loving yourself. You really can't love no one else until you love yourself. Because we all have a form of hatred, like, against ourselves, things we don't like about ourselves.
That's right.
Again, it all comes from your childhood, it all comes from trauma, and all comes with that stuff. But until you fucking accept yourself, you are genuinely fucked. And that doesn't mean that things happen overnight, and I often see in these big American films, and that one moment that changed my life. A lot of shite. Because life is full of those moments where you think I've had a profound experience in which I'll never make this mistake again and I'm a changed person. Life is not about that.
Yes.
Because you could have that moment and you go, this is it now. I'll never do that again. No, you could be back there again. And the thing is, you have to realise you can't beat yourself up over that either. You have to forgive yourself.
Young Marianne got 1,000 likes on Instagram. Her life has changed.
You know what I mean? But that's another fucked up thing. Like Instagram, social media. We won't know the true ramifications of social media and how it's completely destroyed human beings and humanity. For another few decades, we'll know then. Because it's designed by neuroscientists and cognitive scientists in order to give you a dopamine hit that is similar to the one of doing a line of cocaine or drinking a shot. You're getting your self-esteem from all those likes, the shares, the comments. That's where you're getting your sense of meaning from. But however, if that's the case, that means when you don't get those reactions, then you get destroyed. So that's how fragile your ego will become if you're getting your meaning from social media.
And that's for you as a, what age are you now?
32.
As a 32-year-old man, that's for you. Imagine what a 12-year-old girl is like.
They're entrenched in it. Like, I remember a
mad,
time before social media. They don't. They're born on fucking social media. Like, people now are actually have social media accounts from birth. Their mother and fathers create social media accounts for them from birth. Like Teddy. Do you know Teddy?
Yeah.
Teddy's child has a social media account from birth.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a cool thing in one way. But then you go, Jesus, it's fucking mad as well in another way, like.
I know somebody who had a child, is on social media, had a child, and that child has been photographed on social media every day since they were born. And I find that as a phenomenon I wasn't aware of ever before. It's really, it's interesting.
Do you know Norm MacDonald?
Norm MacDonald, stand-up, real dry stand-up. He died a year or two ago, didn't he?
Yeah, he's one of my favourite stand-ups. And he was talking about, he was Canadian, and he's talking about his grandfather. He said he saw there was one picture of his great-grandfather, and it was maybe the time of the 1890s, 1900, in around the turn of the 20th century, the 19th century. And he said there was one photo on him, he was just there frozen in fear, like, ugh. And he said it probably took about 6 hours, you know, and you'd say, do you want to see a photo of my great-grandfather? And he said in 40 years' time, someone will turn around and say, do you want to see 100,000 photos of my great-grandfather? And that's it. Like, there will be 100,000 photos of you. Like, even that much exposure. You know, like the Native Americans believed that photographs take your spirit away. You know, that was their belief. They didn't want to take photographs. All those old photographs they're in which they have Comanche gear and all that, they were all forced upon them. All those photos, even those outfits, they were from a bygone era at that time, you know. So there's something to being captured all the time by that through photography. There's a level of narcissism, and that's the worst thing. Ego, narcissism. That stuff is the word. That's what actually destroys you in life, I think. You know, and they're connected. Like people who have low self-esteem have fragile egos, and then their egos seem inflated because they actually haven't got self-esteem. They don't actually love themselves, so they have to pretend like they're the best thing since sliced bread. And then their self-esteem and their ego are constantly in a battle of trying to come together, but they never can because they don't love themselves enough, and they actually hate themselves and they don't believe in themselves. So they pretend that they're this and that. Like Donald Trump is like that, you know, a typical narcissist.
My girlfriend said to me today, because she would know a few young men who wouldn't feel great about themselves. There's a lot of men don't feel great about themselves and don't talk it out. They laugh and joke and drink and sniff it out.
Yeah.
But talking it out. And she said it's great when, she's talking about me, when you hug other men, when I see you hugging other men, because they get something from it that they don't have at the moment within themselves. Just that love. Yeah. I've learned to love myself. I've learned to be really kind to myself. And I see it in you as well, John.
Yeah.
I see that you've gone through the narcissism, through the ego games, and you walked in here today and you're as fucking lovely and as calm as I've ever seen you.
Look, life is constant hurdles, learning, falling down, getting back up.
That's right.
You know, like we see it in our own community. We see the narcissism. We see the boys, but you know, you see it with the challenge videos. Like, I'm going to break you. I'm going to do. And like, if you're watching these videos, you know, you're thinking, "Geez, this fella must be a killer. Like, he must genuinely be a killer." God, this fella kill me. Like, then you see him if he finally fights, because most of them don't fight, and then he's good for nothing.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
he's looking at the referee to say
he's looking at the ref to say he's looking for a draw. Like
he doesn't want to say he's giving in, but he's hoping in his heart the referee tries to stop it.
Hold me back.
Hold me back. Yeah.
And after that, he's never fighting again.
Yeah, because we have a thing where it's all so much about fighting, and I get it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not against bare knuckle fighting, and I remember being criticised for Pavy Point and all others saying, because I said bare knuckle fighting is a part of the culture, and he disagreed, and it's a part of the culture as a self-policing mechanism. So we squash arguments by fucking having the fight, and that was the way. And now oftentimes the arguments turn into feuds and to defeat the fucking original purpose for it. But the reality is that we could not rely on the shades, the guards, because they actually decimated our community and came in and disrupted it, and were the arms of the state that evicted us, and the ones who fucking perpetrated violence on us actually did create victims out of us. So we could not trust them, and bare knuckle fighting was a way of dissolving disputes. The problem is now, since the rise of the internet before social media, it's the rise of narcissism, of course, but you know, with travellers, we're always worried about what other travellers think. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So years ago, they'd have a fight and no one would see the fights and that was it. And it'd be over. No one had they had an out fight, it was grand or whatever, whether it was a draw, whether it was a win or lose or whatever. But now, even since the 90s, since the tape recorders came in first, then the internet, then social media, everyone gets the comment on it.
Yeah.
And what's travellers like Martin, didn't they all have their opinions? And then it's up online and it's on Facebook and it's on WhatsApp.
It's all over the world in 5 minutes, isn't it?
It's all over the world.
The DVDs.
And there's WhatsApp groups now that have fucking 20,000 travellers in them.
I keep saying, John,
that boom room and all.
Was the probably point that said to you that disagreed with you when you were saying it's a culture, part of the culture?
Yeah.
Obviously, they got the wrong meaning of it, like, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they're gobshites.
Because it is part of the culture.
Yeah,
whether it's right or whether it's wrong,
it is. Yeah,
it doesn't take away the fact that it's part of the traveller's culture.
Totally, it totally is. And where I'll go and draw the line, I'll go feuding is not, and that's different. But bare knuckle fighting is.
Yes.
And if it stays to its original purpose and it actually dissolves disputes and it does that for us as a mechanism, well, that's a good thing. It now, unfortunately, with the rise of all the social media and all that stuff now, everybody gets a comment, everybody gets to have their say, and no one now can take a loss either. Like, they lose now, they can't take a loss. And you've even seen that in boxing, boxing and all, MMA, because the rise of the ego and the social media, it's affected people in such a mad way collectively.
That's what he said. He said, like, the original DVDs, fights, call-outs, was boxing and wrestling and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something that the travelling community have adopted and adapted to themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's gone out of control in what you said, like the boom room and these
because
different
call-outs wasn't the travel. Like, that's again the internet. As you're right, you're totally right. That's a wrestling fucking thing. That's right. It's like WWE or something, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing, we were saying this here the other day in one of our podcasts as well. The finger sort of gets pointed at the traveller for the call-outs.
Yeah.
So I said the Dean says you're just professionals doing it. It's like, where's
exactly? Yeah.
So Connor's made $1 billion off it.
Look,
Tyson Fury's made $1 billion off it.
100%, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's just that they have, I think they've got the money out of it and they can build a wall around themselves. Yeah. They can protect themselves. They've done stuff that would be called out as quick if a traveller done it. You know what I mean? Drugs and sex and rock and roll and smashing people up and
Totally.
They just built a wall around themselves with litigation and money.
Yeah, well, they're wealthy, so, money makes the world go round. For me, with travellers, there's no doubt it's the worst discrimination in Ireland by a mile, and that's according to every fucking academic study, right?
Yeah, it is.
You don't even have to talk to travellers. However, to fight the big man upstairs, the elites, the political system, whatever you're fighting in order to overcome discrimination, is such a big fight, and travellers don't come together anyway to fight that anyway. Plus, we're such a small community, and we're in a very non-political. I think the best thing is to do is not even have that fight. And it's just to look inwards at ourselves and go, what can we actually fix ourselves?
Yes.
Because that's how we actually do get stronger. Because if we start going, we're going to fight the man, we're going to fight the system, we're going to change everything, we're going to fucking Martin Luther King it. Like, every time an activist stood up and did any good, they got shot down anyway. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy.
John Connors.
Well, yeah, I've been shot down a few times anyway.
You shot yourself in the foot, though.
I did, yeah, 100%. I shot myself in the foot at least once.
Yeah.
Well, I was shot down for other reasons. Like, if you look at the abortion thing, for instance, that's one I'm not taking a hit on, because I looked at a video, I remember, and that probably was the worst thing that happened to me career at the time. I remember looking at a video of all these Irish so-called celebrities, and they were all pro-choice, and they were all getting claps in the back, and you're deadly, fair play to pro-choice, and you're brave and stuff. And I went, well, I don't feel that way. I feel the opposite. And we're the so-called Irish celebrities or whatever the fuck. We're the pro-life ones. Because the pro-life ones weren't allowed to open their mouth. So I said I should be allowed to open my mouth on this, because this is a belief of mine. I do believe in human life. I'm against the death penalty. Even if you're a paedophile, which I think is the worst human being in the world. I think if you're a paedophile, you should be castrated and get a life sentence. I think that's too good for you anyway. But I don't believe in taking any human life. So if I don't believe in taking the human life of a paedophile, I certainly don't believe in taking the life of an unborn child. And you know the way we are in our community about children. And how, because there's a lot of fucking misperceptions of us and how we treat children. We fucking die over our children.
That's right. Absolutely.
And women who are pregnant and all that, we do everything we can to look after people like that and women like that and whatever. And another thing, we were saying, like, for children who might be slow or have a mental illness or, mentally challenged, we call them God's children.
That's right.
right? But that comes from
Yeah,
an
he
old
said,
Irish
Martin said
strategy.
that before. He said they're the way with the fairies, but in a really, really good way.
Yeah, but
That
God's children,
they're
but they're
blessed.
touched by God like an
Yeah.
angel, you know. So we have a lot of respect around those things. So I voiced my opinion on that. Now, it did myself no favours on how I ended up fighting that battle, which was I just put up a picture saying pro-life. That's it on Facebook, and it went viral, man. And you want to see the hate I was getting. You knacker, you pikey, we hate you. We thought you were one of us. You know, this is all the left, the Irish left wingers.
Yes.
I said, oh, these sound very tolerant. Now, this is way back. When was the abortion thing? 2017? Was that 17? Yeah. So it was back then, like, just kind of just in the middle of all this woke stuff when it was happening. And I had people who were repeal tops on Twitter, part of the repeal campaign, fucking saying, I hope it goes through so the traveller children can get aborted, right? These are so-called people who believe in equality and justice and for all that. So I lost a big gig I got, an English film. I lost a BBC drama I was just casting. And I lost about 15 to 20 speaking dates, something like that. I think about 17 speaking dates around Ireland as well. Bang, like that. And that's for having a difference of opinion. Now, when I got all that hate back from those people and they came at me, the thing was, Martin, the discrimination, how they were discriminating against me over my political opinion felt the exact same as how I got discriminated against all my life for being a traveller.
Yes,
It was the exact same feeling. And there was also those ones who wanted me to step out of line anyway. And the minute they step out of line, they were like snakes to the grass, jumping top me. So I came out swinging when they were, you know, death to travellers, blah, blah, blah. And I got a T-shirt saying, me and my uncle, vote no to baby genocide. Now, I'll admit, that was a bit heavy-handed.
A step too far.
It was. No, but 100%. But my way, when I get backed in a corner, I fight. That's the way I do it. Since I'm a child, I fight. I got bullied as a child. I joined boxing because I got bullied. I always fought back. You know, the best defence is a good offence. That's the way I was looking at it. So I shot myself in the foot there, no doubt. But I don't regret that. I genuinely do not regret that. And every controversy I've been involved, I don't regret any of them because I've learned so much.
So
I've learned about myself.
I think there's a few things in that. One is, I think part of the culture in the travelling community over the last 50 years is their offence is defence.
Yeah.
They're on the back foot jabbing because that's where they've ended up. I know, fault of their own, they didn't come up with the Charlie Hottie
1963 report, yeah.
They didn't write them themselves.
Commission, yeah.
But where they are is now, and that's one of the things I noticed with Martin, because that's how I met him first. I approached him and he said, what are you doing here? And I took everything out of my pockets and I said, do you want to fight about it? And then we'll get to know each other. Or do you want to get to know each other and then see where we're at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I gave him a few clouds, then we
Give
got
me straighten them out.
and then we got to know each other.
A couple of black eyes.
But what I'm getting
I said,
from...
Dean, have you ever been in a traveller site before?
what I'm getting from you is that the fight, yes, if you want to, you can fight them, whoever they are, the authorities, the power, the legislators, the police, the councils, and this and that. And to bring up stuff that Martin's been talking about recently, is you can even shame them. But I don't know if any of that. I think that's counterproductive a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you only know that after you've done it.
Yeah.
A couple of years down the line, you go, I'm after wasting so much of my time being angry at these people when I could have just loved myself. It's
a fucking dirty game, politics, you know. As soon as you step into that political arena, you're going to get shot down one way or another. You know what I mean? And I got it for a few different reasons, and sometimes justified anyway. And sometimes for complicated reasons that no one really gives a shit about and wants to talk about. They just go, we live in a black and white world, we're going to judge you. You know, because a lot of these people who are even, we talk about the fucking left and the woke movements, they're religious people. Wokeism, that talkism, you know, that stuff, that's a religion. Because these are people who don't believe in religion, don't have faith. So it's a religious vacuum because, you know, what happened in Ireland, Catholic Church, all that stuff, all that created a religious vacuum, and people filled it with different things. They filled it with gangsterism, they filled it with drugs, they filled it with fucking politics, with wokeism, whatever.
Nationalism.
Nationalism. It gives them a certain meaning that, or whatever they're looking for. And that's the thing about these people. They don't want to do the right thing. They just want to be right. And that's their ego. So when you fight these people directly, they come after you and they don't care. And it's all online because there's the real world and there's the online world. And the online world now is nearly as real as the real world. Or it's nearly as important. Like you look at Twitter fucking drives international global policy in every country in the world, in the Western world. So these fucking things, there's a game you play with them and they're always going to beat you at the game. So I was so stupid and always fighting these cunts direct on and always showing my cards and always revealing my intentions. You know what I mean? And
But
going,
they're
"Here."
saying in The Godfather, never let them know what you're thinking.
Exactly.
But you've gone, no, but I feel this and I'm going to go. And
Yeah.
I've done it myself,
Yeah.
and Martin has done it.
Yeah.
This is what I feel and I'm going to let you know. And then they'll either pour honey in your ear
Yeah.
or try and eliminate you.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest lessons I've seen Martin get in the last 2 years is they've been pouring honey in his ears and in the travelling community's ears for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And then he woke up a couple of months ago and went, oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
It's fucking genius.
Isn't it? It is hard when you're literally when you're angry. Basically,
Yeah.
it's hard to not let them see what's in your mind, isn't it?
It
You
is.
want to speak your mind, don't you?
And when you're proud, Martin, because you go, fuck you, my opinion is valid. I say whatever the fuck I want, and you take it any way you want. Because there's a rage there.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? And that was me, the rage. And I've only woke up in the last couple of years myself going, you fucking idiot.
We done
You
a
fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
love it.
we had a good what do you call it, right? It's about I'll be a good year and a half ago, I'd say, right? And we had a meeting with the council, right? But there was a good lot of us in there. It went on for about say a good 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now this was a long meeting with them, right? And basically I talked my brains out. I was talking rubbish, but I talked my brains out, right? Anyway, myself and say Huey Maughan, right? When the meeting was finished, and we thought we were getting somewhere in this meeting here because the council was listening to everything, giving great heed, they were agreeing with everything we said.
Martin was using
It
big
was like
words.
putting a piece of cake on a plate for us, that kind of thing, right? So I was anyway thinking, myself, at least they're listening here now, kind of, right? So we walked outside the door when of course, everyone shake hands and everybody's friends, right? And as you're walking from that community centre back up home to our own places, right? Me and Huey happened to be walking in the same direction anyway, yeah? I just talked me on and said, Huey, you know something? I said, we're over 2 hours in their side. And we poured our hearts out. We thought we were talking sense. We still do, right? But I feel like we got absolutely nothing out of it, I said. And he turned around and he said to me, do you know something? He said, you're right, he said, I feel like a ginny goat, he said. Well, I said, that's two of us. I said, we're two ginny goats. I said, this is not happening no more, I said.
Yeah.
But the next time we had meetings, anyway, we talked all right. We sat back. There's all the council in front of us.
Yeah.
You did the same day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they were literally struck for words.
Yeah.
Because why? Because it worked the first time for them.
Yeah.
We talked. Will you stop?
Yeah, but you
But
showed
they
your
didn't-
cards.
They didn't have to talk then, did they?
Yeah, you showed your cards, yeah.
And it worked just lovely for them.
Yeah, there was no incentive for them to actually talk to you then.
The second time around, there was nearly they were nearly mangling each other in the meeting. So I'd jump up and get the boys to stop and shout and all that. But the pressure was on the council this time because they could not literally find a word
Yeah.
to come back with. Now, we had decided we were going to give them a chance to talk. Sure, they didn't want to talk.
Yeah.
That
of
was
course
their, let's say, their tactic, if you
they
like.
did. Yeah, of course, yeah.
They didn't want to talk. They
They're
wanted
used
us
to doing it.
sit there, make a fool of yourself as much as you possibly can,
Yeah.
and we'll just give you thumbs up and even give you a hug if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And away out that door.
But that's a skill, Martin. Like, that stuff is a skill, and having the confidence as well to say nothing, that's another thing.
Yeah, I think they're trained for it, to be honest about.
Of course they are,
Yeah.
but they do. That's what they
And
do.
it's also how they get into the position. They rise up the ladder because they use the tactics that work.
Yeah.
If you use the tactics that don't work, you don't rise up the ladder. So hence, if you want to rise up the ladder, adapt and adopt the tactics
Totally.
that get you up the ladder.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
it worked for them.
That's it. If you want to be a professional boxer,
Yeah.
you don't go cycling.
Yeah. It's true. Well, even like some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life are travellers. They can't read or write. Like I know travellers who can't read or write, can speak 4 languages and tour all around them. Fellas from Rackheal and all.
Yeah.
They can speak 4 or 5 languages, but they can't read or write.
Yeah,
like.
reading right.
And they travel around. They travel around fucking Europe and America.
And knows how to earn good
and do
livings and all
things
that.
and
Like.
making a lot of money.
Good
Like,
business.
I know
man.
traveller millionaires who were fucking illiterate and can't read or write. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
So much fucking potential in travellers, and we've our own kind of talk about street smarts. We've our own kind of street smarts, and our own ways, and a lot of our own wisdom. But that stuff that you talk about there, like that's just a different culture to us.
It is, isn't
And
it?
I'm not talking about settled people. I'm talking like that culture, that political culture, and all. But it's just shit we can learn, And the best way of learning is actually keeping your mouth fucking shut. Like, what do you do if you get arrested? No comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a learner.
Because then you're going to find out what are the questions.
Don't tell him
And
that.
where are the whereabouts.
Yeah,
We're
they
doing a
have to
blatant
talk, haven't
podcast.
they?
I want them to talk.
You know what I mean? No, but again, even listening,
Yeah.
listening is where we actually learn.
Yeah, I think
You know
it
what I
is.
mean? And you start going, because I now know how to ask me, stop and ask yourself the question when I get confronted with these people. I go, right, I'm listening to them now, right? What are they saying, right? Versus what do they mean? Because everything, it all has subtext. It actually means something else other than what they're saying. Okay, so they're saying this and they're trying to present it as a present, but really they're trying to catch me out in this area.
That's right.
And I'm going to be too smart for them now. And that's it. And what I now do is I do non-emotional debating. I don't ever go to emotions. I don't ever go to insults.
Yes.
I just ask questions.
Well, that's,
All I do is ask questions.
That was the great thing that I noticed when the lads from Dublin City Council had all the boys up in the room up in St. Margaret's. They just threw little emotional bombs out, and they had the lads vexed and angry and screaming at themselves and others, and they were just sitting back going, well, that worked.
Yeah, like Dublin City Council, man. What is the Dublin City Council budget this year for travellers? How much have you spent? Where have you spent it on? What areas have you spent it on? Geographically, what areas in Dublin have you spent it on? Which families have you spent that on? How much is left? And why are you not spending what's left? Is it incompetency or is it discrimination? We want to know these pointed questions. That's what you have
So
to
that's
ask.
where Martin is now, because he sent me a list of questions exactly like that. He going, if this work was done, did that money come from the traveller accommodation budget or a different budget? If it came from a different budget, who sanctioned it?
When's the new budget coming in? What's the intention for the new budget? Where's it going to be spent? On who's it going to be spent? What families? What level of needs do you have to meet with them? And then they go, oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And these are just simple fucking things that we can fucking teach ourselves. Like, ask a few questions. We're the best in the world asking questions. Do you know what I mean? It's just knowing the right questions to fucking ask.
But Isaac saying to him,
terrified.
if it was a car, he wouldn't have he would have a non-emotional conversation with somebody over a car.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's over this other thing, whatever, you know what I mean?
Part of what you're saying there now, right? Remember, Dean, I mentioned this to you a few times about, we did have a lot of meetings with Dublin City Council, not that we got anywhere with it, but I said to them, I know I was with them, I said that there's certain questions we ask them and they have no answers for them. They somehow just bring it like a roundabout kind of thing back to something that makes absolutely no sense.
Would they agree with you that gets out of the question? Like what I always do with them anyway, and how I've gotten on with them now, is I email them. So there's a email correspondence. So that's from April the 8th, 2022, when John Connors asked this question. Now it's August, blah, 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 and that still hasn't been resolved. Could you tell me why now, for the last 4 or 5 months, that has not been resolved? You haven't replied to me on that. So I have a whole backlog in which I can fucking tear them apart now.
So that's what we've done now in the last, say, year and a half. So we talk about the email, we develop it, we read it out, we send it to the 3 or 4 people it's going to, then we CC another 20 people, and
That's
then
what I do as well.
and then we BCC some of our allies.
I CC the Human Rights Commission and stuff.
Yeah.
But
then I also BCC, which is like a blind copy.
the blind one of everybody else.
Nobody else sees it. To my allies, my
Yeah.
friends, and
Yeah.
they can advise me then in the background.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's a strategy that has been nice, really successful. But then the latest one we're using, because I would know a lot of this, but I can't bring it into Martin's world yet until he kind of realises how it's going to benefit him. So the freedom of information one is that one that we're starting to use.
Yeah.
So we're we're chatting to Lane and Eileen, Flynn and different TDs and all that going, here's a list of questions.
Yeah.
Please go and come back with the
Yeah.
answer. That's your role in this. Please, help.
Yeah.
This is what we want you to do.
Yeah. And holding people accountable, like people are meant to represent us or whatever. Like, I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of Pavey Point, which is Collins Point, and I called the Collins Point a million times when I went in there. And this is nothing against the Collinses, man, because I grew up at the Collinses in Gillock. They're the loveliest people you've ever met.
That's right.
And I consider them very close people to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up with them in the box club, John Collins, Kiwi's Johnny, Michael, Kiwi's Patrick, all the boys, Son of Man's boys, all them boys. I grew up with them, born and reared them. The nicest people you've ever met. However, that place, Pavey Point, is Collins Point. And I'm actually
organisation itself, basically.
It's Collins Point. They look after Collinses, they look after their own. And I said it to their face, this is why I'm barred. I'm barred from Collins Point anyway. They barred me. They wouldn't stop asking me to do shit anyway. Mental health this, mental health that, knowing how to pull me heartstrings, the bastards. And then I remember going in there one day.
Pouring honey in your ear again, John.
Yeah, pouring my honey in my ear. They're good at it. But they knew they had me by the bollocks, you know what I mean? So I walked in there one day anyway, and they're the Traveller Roman Centre. And first of all, travellers and Roman people have no connection. They've no connection ethnically, linguistically, culturally, shouldn't have politically, nothing. We should not be connected together. That's nothing against the Roma people. I stand in solidarity with them, and they're one of the most discriminated against fucking people in the world. But we're travellers, Irish travellers, indigenous people to this country, proper, true Irish. Roma are not. They come from Indian mountain people 7,000 years ago, have a different origin, different culture, different everything. So they should not be aligned with us in the same organisation as if we're the same people. We are not the same people.
Who done the aligning? Was it the settlement?
Well, yeah, and Pavy Point, and which was run by Settle People anyway, and is still run by Settle People all the way along anyway. Martin Collins is a spokesperson, he doesn't run it. But yeah, in order to get money, you understand, to access European funding, that's what it's all about. So the last time I went in there, I said, you know what? I'm going to make this my last trip to Pavy Point. I'm going to do my research. All right, so they get 40% of the funding for Roma people. Okay. I wonder how they justify that funding. I wonder how many Roma people Pavy Point fund. Yeah, that's a good question. All right. Walks into Pavy Point. I gets in there an hour early. Sorry, Collins Point. Gets in there an hour early. And I says to the woman, Norwegian woman, I said, where's upstairs? What do you do up there? Is that where we work? Yeah. Do you mind if we just have a little walk around? Yeah, no problem. Walks around. Okay, they employ 28 people. All right, there's 12 travellers, rest settled people, many Romas. That's many Romas. We actually don't have any. Well, we have 2 Romas on CE scheme. All right, okay, that's not bother yet. Grand. Downstairs, they're doing a talk, whatever. One of them was doing a talk, and they're going through the objectives of Pavy Point and what they have to do to fulfil, blah, blah, blah. And then I just asked the question. I said, you get 40% of your funding, whatever it was at the time, for Roma people. I said, how many Roma people do you employ? This is, you're not meant to ask a question. Your man's doing a fucking demonstration. But I fixed them because I wanted to get out of this place anyway. But there's a minister for equality and justice there or whatever, yeah? Oh, no, we employ plenty. I said, no, you don't. And he went, what? I said, no, you don't. You don't employ any. Oh, no, we do. We employ too. No, you don't. They're CE schemes. And his face went pure red. I said, now, what do you do for travellers? I said, because I've had people in my family who were looking for funding for education, to be guided in here and there, looking to go on a course that would advance them and get them into the workplace. And what you tell them over the phone is we can fill out a few pieces of paper for you. Meanwhile, you're doing exactly that for your own family, the Collinses. So what are you doing? And their face, and that was it. Then I got barred from Pavy Point ever. And that's the truth.
Yes.
Because travellers we are tribal people. You know, we stick with our own families, and that's a fact. That's right. But that's the danger of these tribal organisations being run by fucking one family. You know, and you can say it about all the rest of the organisations, nearly all of them. They're all run by one specific family looking after one specific family, and that's just not fucking fair. And then they want to project a certain image of a traveller that they think the settled people is going to like, or that a settled establishment or upper class elites is going to like. So that's why they say things like bare knuckle fighting is not a part of our culture, and just tell fucking lies.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I think we should accept our culture, warts and all.
Yeah,
for ourselves.
Tell it as it is,
not
basically.
Not worry about what other people think.
I was often wondering the same thing about that. I think I mentioned it to you a few weeks ago as well. Actually, we did remember my mother's podcast with my mother, yeah?
Ellie.
And we were saying about that thing, the Roma. Where did this Roma thing come from? I could never understand it. Again, what you said there, we're Irish travellers, simple as. What connection was there from the Romas? Now, as I said again, with all due respect to them, right? What connection was there from the complete opposite side of the world? There was no revelation there at all, was it?
No, and listen, as you said there, look, I absolutely fucking stand with them people. But that's like putting English-Irish people together in general, or we're just not the same people. I don't know, and it's all down to politics, all down to money. It's for that greater goal, and because they were a clear ethnic minority, I think a travel organisation is aligned with them in order to get ethnic status. Now, the thing we call ethnic fucking status, we don't have ethnic status in this country. People have to realise that. They think there was a big day in which we got ethnic status. It's very clear if anybody wants to fucking watch it on YouTube. Enda Kenny stood in front of the fucking whole country and actually told all the travel activists not to be making a big deal out of the celebrations, because he didn't want farmers and people who he looked after in rural Ireland to find out that travellers are getting ethnically recognised, because he knew that was going to destroy the Fine Gael voting base, right? So he was very clear. There will be no added rights financially. There'll be no added rights culturally, politically, nothing. This is nothing but a gesture that I'm reading off
We're
a
just
page.
going to pour honey in your ear
Yes,
again.
it has exactly. It has no legal ramifications. Now, to me, the whole, you know what? I will go as far as saying this, Martin. We're not an ethnic minority. That's what I think. I was going for the ethnic status for this because we're a certain brand of Irish. We're holding on to a lot of old Irish traditions, and to me, the ethnic status would have helped preserving old Irish traditions. Things, the Tua clan culture, which is why we live around each other now in sites and stuff. Our way, we descend from old Ireland, like.
John, how could you be Irish? You're not even human.
What?
How could you be Irish? You're not even human.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the stuff that you say, you said earlier on
100%.
that you're the most discriminated against. I think for some people that might be hard to hear it, but I've seen and I've worked with different groups, working in Ballymun for the last 30 odd years, homeless people, refugees, blah, blah, blah. And right underneath that, lower than the lowest rung on the ladder, is the knackers,
Yeah, 100%.
is the travellers.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when you can see it and you can separate it from all the other background noise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to the point where I would almost say that you're not seen as human.
It's dehumanisation, Dean. If you look at like the formation of the Irish Free State, when they start talking about the ugly image of the thinker in the countryside, and they start debating about that in Dáil Éireann, and it was all about if we don't get rid of this ugly image of the thinker in the countryside, it's going to deter foreign investment from America because by then the Irish had a big fucking diaspora in America. They've now gotten rich and had political power, and they were going to reinvest in the country after we blew the fucking country apart in the fucking Civil War. And in the 20s, 30s, 40s, these targeting travellers with vacancy acts and specific policies were passed in order to settle travellers. And then that all just, like people talking about the 1963 thing, that was like the culmination of it. That was after 4 decades of it. You're talking about over a century long of settled people getting brainwashed to believe we're dirt, we're scum, we're everything. Right. And we getting brainwashed to believe we are that as well.
100% right.
Do you know what I mean? So, and then the other thing is, that's a big aspect of this, the fact that we're white, that's what justifies it. Because settled people will go, we're not a racist, or I'm not racist, whatever accents you want to do with them, because they're white, they're Irish. And that's the thing. Yeah. They get away with it then. They don't get whereas they never say it about a black person or whatever, like if you look at they did a study with 6-year students. Now 6-year students, young people are the most sort of equality driven people naturally. That's when you're young, you're full of empathy, you're open-minded, you're the most modern people now or whatever. They were asked questions in a study like, how many of you wouldn't mind having a traveller live next door? And upwards of 95% said he would mind.
Many would mind.
And many wouldn't mind having a traveller boyfriend or girlfriend. Upwards of 97% said he would mind. Let's turn it on its head. They were asked, how many of you wouldn't mind having a person of colour living next door? Upwards of 95% said they wouldn't mind. And many of you wouldn't mind having a person of colour as a girlfriend or boyfriend. Upwards of 95% said he wouldn't mind. So the difference between a person of colour's experience in travellers, or at least the people's perception of those people versus travellers, is unbelievably, that gap is unbelievably huge. And the reason why I'll never stop shutting up about this and I'm just pointing in the different directions is because you do have a bit of hope, Martin, and you do hope for the old children. I look at my own nieces and nephews and go, hope they don't.
That's right.
Hope they don't.
Yeah, you don't want them suffering the same way as this generation, as we call it.
Because you know how much the marks are being called. Remember, hit me one day, I was going, Jesus, my own niece and nephew's going to be called knacker one day in school, remember it? And then I remember Joseph, my little nephew, was spitting names at me. And the first time I was called knacker was when I was 5 years of age in school. A girl called me knacker. I didn't know what I meant, but I knew it was negative by the way, just taking in her body language. Then I went home to my mommy and I said, Mommy, what's a knacker? And I got received by my mommy's body language and it was something. And the same thing with my little nephew Joseph come over to me. And a girl called me a knacker today in school, and I went, there you go. Like, it's never going to change. That's what you feel. You can't live with Paul Peter, you just have to keep it going,
We were in Croke Park at the HSE's mental health conference, traveller mental health conference, the other day. Myself and Martin went in, and there was a room there. What would you say was in it? 400 people in it?
I'd say around that anyway, yeah.
I'd say 300
Three
of
and
them
four,
were women.
yeah.
I don't know if they were traveller women, but they were women anyway. It could have been HSE staff and all that type of stuff. And there was a big, huge slide on the back wall, and there was a picture of what I would see as it's an old Irish piss take English picture of an Irishman.
Irish beast, yeah, that's the Irish beast. A savage, yeah.
And the text beside it was, the majority population in Ireland denigrates Irish travellers in the same way Irish people were othered throughout history.
Yeah.
The shoe is merely on the other foot.
It's absolutely,
And that's the one that Martin stood out and he said, that's what it is. He said, we, 150 years ago, were denigrated by the British. What happened then in the intervening years with the famine and the Civil War and all this type of stuff is that that denigration has still gone on. It's just been moved to a group of Irish people that we now call travellers.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, you know, the Irish Free State government, successive governments since the state was set up, have been far more successful than the British ever were. Like, the British were notoriously hated nomadic people that travelled, because if you travelled, you didn't settle in one place and pay taxes to the king or queen. It's all about money. You know, 2/3 of the Irish population were travellers 500 years ago. You know, before the reconquest of Ireland, 2/3 of the Irish population were nomadic.
So the culture was nomadic.
Irish culture was nomadic. We were known as the Wandering Irish to everyone in the world. We were known as the Wandering Irish. So it's not about, you know, the people ask the question, you know, when did travellers start? When did travellers start travelling? No, when did settled people start settling?
Start settling, yeah.
And stop travelling.
Opposite way around.
That's the question, actually. That's a historical fact. You know, and we know through DNA testing that's when travellers diverged from settled people around that time, when the Irish population starts settling. Because they start settling because they were being slaughtered by local sheriffs who had martial law papers in which they could slaughter you and take 33% of what was on you and give the rest to king or queen. So they were incentivized to slaughter people who were travelling.
It's easier to control you and tax you when you're settled.
Of course, without a doubt, that people who didn't settle became us. So we are the people who refused to bow down to king or queen. That's the reality. Now, the Irish Free State became more successful in settling us than the British did, because they used the same tactic and they got even better. Divide and conquer, divide and rule, you know, and they used all the old British, like, you look at that image there, images like that were used against travellers in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So sure, up until fucking a decade ago, we're still being called knackers. Like that Brendan O'Connor was on RTE. You know that Brendan O'Connor, that the Cork fella. Sure, he, all through the 90s up to the early 2000s, was writing about travellers calling us knackers and pikeys and all.
Sure, I said it to you about one of the local TDs here, called the people of Ballymun Nicaraguans.
Yeah.
That's not only offensive to Ballymunners, travellers and Nicaraguans.
Yeah.
He'd have a cheek down and going on. I seen him on a thing there with Brezzy, and obviously Brezzy talks a lot about mental health and stuff. Yeah. And this that O'Connor now is having all the let's say all the sympathy in the world, if you like.
Yeah.
So if he's going around and has been making negative comments about travellers, does he not realise them things cause depression as well?
Well, without a doubt, like, just listen, that's
like some people are
that's
strong.
There's nothing to do with him. Him pouring honey in your ear and feeding you with all the lovely sentiments and all that. It's not up to him how you take that.
Yeah.
If you're questioning his way of making money, who are you to question anybody's way of making money?
That's the way he looks at it. Yeah. Well, he's a special human being. That fella. I'd love to have a chat with him, actually, just like a genuine chat with him. You know what I mean? Because no one else, no other group could you get away with that. Like, if he had a history of denigrating Nigerians and the wave of Nigerians that came into Ireland from the late 90s and onwards, and he had a history of discriminating against them publicly on print newspaper and radio shows, in the era we're now living, he would never work again. He was a sad man. I would call him a sad man. Of course, well, anybody has hate in their heart.
That's the only thing he could.
They can't be happy.
Who was the fella who was running for president?
That was Casey.
Casey. He stood in a town square somewhere in Ireland, and he said publicly on record, on camera, "Yes, I am a racist," and I find it fascinating. And I just find that if we make a link to, and I'm not just calling out East Wall on it, but because it's happening in different places, but if you make a link to this week in East Wall, what I see is that guys like that use other groups to speak their speak.
I was saying about that little bit about your man Prezi again, yeah. And I watch a couple of his call them documentaries, you want to call them, right? His speeches and stuff. and he finishes up on some of them with he leaves sort of 3 or 4 tips at the end, right, which is good. And one of them was, don't judge other people, especially when you don't know them, when you know nothing about them. Because he knows that these things, by judging somebody else, it can do big damage to them.
And he said here in Ballymun last week, don't judge other people. He said the people that get most judged in our society is travellers. First thing, I think I'm blown away by the fact that you're listening to podcasts and Brezzy.
He's actually, I find him very, very, very interesting for a lot of reasons.
Because I know that you're recently going through your own stuff, and listening to someone like that is helping you through the stuff that you're going through yourself.
I think he can be, and he probably is, I'm sure he is, I think he can be a great absolute influence to almost anybody.
Have you went through some depression yourself, Baron?
No, not like that. Look, everyone gets their down days and all that stuff. But I do listen to them anyway.
Yeah.
And like I'd send his clips out.
Have you many children, man?
I send them to people. I have 9 kids.
9 children, man.
9 children, 14 grandchildren.
Yeah. Boys and girls.
So, 5 boys, 4 girls.
What age are they? Like what age?
My oldest now is 32 in June, please God.
Yeah.
31
What's his name?
Michael,
yeah, I think I know Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Box?
The boys calls him Big Bear.
Yeah.
He's all cuddly though.
I don't call him, the boys call him.
I'm calling him Cuddly Bear.
Yeah. They used to be in the old boxing clubs, to say, when they were younger.
Where did he box?
From about 10 up to about 15 and 16, like, you know what I mean?
Ballymun.
They were in a couple of different clubs. Just to go down that one there in Class 7 used to be a great club.
Oh, that was a good club years
ago. To
ago.
go to the 2 different clubs in Ballymun.
Michael's the same age as me, yeah. I would remember him boxing. Yeah.
He's 30, he'll be 32 now in June.
But boxing, that's one of the fucking great things for mental health.
Tommy and Simon, each of them. Joey's the youngest, he'd be 17 now.
Right.
Joey was in from around, same story, around 8 years of age.
How are they all getting on?
No, they get on well, like, but they're not in the, they go to all gyms now and again, all right.
Yeah.
But they're not in the boxing.
They all live in the side still, would you?
Basically, yeah, the four of them is Joey, Martin, he's living in Blanchardstown.
Right, married.
But married now, yeah, has 3 kids.
Any of them not married now?
No, there's 5, so we have Kathleen, 2 girls and 3 boys married.
Yeah.
So the oldest, say, down to, Tommy's getting married.
Right.
Yeah.
And how long are you married, man?
I'm married 32 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, God.
And what's your wife's name?
Bridget O'Donnell.
She's O'Donnell, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the O'Donnells from across the way there?
Say they're cousins.
Or the south side.
They're cousins.
Yeah.
You might have often heard of
Would you be related to 2 twins?
I know. They're my woman's father now would be their first cousin.
Right, yeah.
Two twins, big lads, aren't they?
Yeah,
Two
they
giants.
are. She's giants.
They didn't get the names for nothing, did they? As the fella said, they didn't get the name for licking the stone.
Definitely not. 2 twin towers, wasn't it?
Twin towers, yeah.
So in Ballymun, there's Mottons, McDonough's, Stokes.
No, there is. There used to be a lot of nearly all the Mottons gone out of Ballymun.
Yeah, are they? Yeah.
And to be honest with you, a lot of the Stokes as well as gone. All the own people, like, yeah.
Now Bernie, what would Bernie Stokes be something to you? Bernie Stokes used to live in Darndale.
He's my brother.
There you go.
He lost young Stephen, got us done.
Ah, Jesus,
Stephen,
that's fucking terrible.
Probably knew Stephen.
I grew up with him.
Yeah, that's right.
I grew up with him.
Yeah, you're in the same area.
Me and Brian was like best mates, man, growing up.
Yeah,
I remember Bernie was a gentleman. Used to be around his house all the time.
Yeah,
all the time around Bernie's house. I remember one day, the funniest things ever. Me and my cousin Patrick were out. Now this could even be, no, it wouldn't be you. It must be someone older than you. But one of Bernie's brothers went into him and chatting him.
Probably Tom, I'd say, the older brother.
Yeah, he was an older fella, right?
Tom was the oldest, yeah.
And me and me cousin Patrick were out in the front field that was separating, say, our camp from Darndale. And the rain was down all day. And the whole field was muck, right? So me and my cousin Patrick were 2 lurks. We went, fucking know what, we just started sliding in the muck, right? And we were like 16, 17, you know? So whoever he was anyway, probably your brother Tom, yeah, right? He comes around the highest van and he's coming out of Bernie's and he sees the others and he winds down the window and he just shouts out, "Ye 2 dirty handicap bastards!" What are you? Like, he was genuinely angry, right? And me and Patrick busted out, "Handicap!" So, and us from ruined from top to bottom with Mugwa. I'll never forget it. I swear to God, oh God, it was some laugh. I used to have some laugh. With Brian. Me and Brian, yeah, we used to fucking box together. We used to drink together, to get pures together, do all different sorts
Brian
of
was a
stuff.
great little boxer when he was young, wasn't he?
Very good boxer. Very good counter puncher boxer he was. Very good, yeah. I remember Brian boxing some big names as well, and he was like myself as well. He kind of wouldn't be fully dedicated either, you know, the kind of way. But he was very, very good, very smart, like.
When, I remember years ago when Brian was really small, obviously, but he was getting a lot of young fights, as you call it. But the trainer took a liking to him.
Yeah,
And when Bernie, as you know, Bernie used to be fond of drink at the time.
yeah.
But he doesn't drink as much now as he used to since Stephen, you know that.
Good. That's
Yeah.
a good thing then.
But the trainer would come up anyway and he'd knock on the door because Brian didn't turn up the club if Bernie was drinking basically. So then he'd say, we want Brian out. But him and the trainer and Bernie would have more arguments than anything else. But he'd get Brian out anyway. And this time anyway, him and Bernie and the trainer sort of fell out anyway. But the trainer couldn't stick it. He would see, my young lads have been at the same clubs, you see.
Yeah.
And he just say, I want to go up to Bernie, but I can't talk to me today. He won't talk. He won't even let me talk. So I told him, I said, look, I said, go up to him and say, when he's off the drink, I said, and say he's 100%.
Where does Bernie live now?
But he kept inquiring, was Bernie off the drink anyway?
Yeah.
That time he used to be in Ballymun.
Yeah.
And he kept inquiring, was Bernie off the drink? And eventually he got the chance. Bernie was off the drink. Straight up to the side.
No way.
I was shaking hands with Bernie and became best of friends again. I got Brian back down to the club.
Jesus.
He was a torture when he was drinking though.
But
the trainer just he had a great respect for him. Like,
he was, but Brian was a lovely uncle as well. Like lovely uncle. Like when I was in the Arndale boys, like at that time, I remember a lot of mad shit used to happen. Like I remember fucking a fella one time. I think a fella was fucking chased him with a gun or something randomly one night for some stupid reason. It's the type of thing that can happen in Darndale, like a house party or something. You know, stupid things like things get out of hand. Like, but how's Brian doing now? Is he all right?
He's okay. Settled down a lot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good.
He's a couple of kids.
But he's
now
a
as well.
child there from Darndale as well.
He goes to Brian goes to mass now one miss mass every Sunday.
Really, yeah.
Change sort of young lad.
He's like that.
There's a lot
He
of
just blow me
prayers.
away. Like he'll be going to a mass after this podcast. He'll stand outside the room here. He'll bless himself. That's the type of stuff that I'm just in awe of. You know what I mean? It's lovely. What I was saying about the podcast, him listening to Brezzy and all that type of stuff, he takes a lot of it, a lot of what's happening in his community on his shoulders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get the mix of the religion and the family and all that stuff happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for me to be able to see him going, I listened to that podcast with Brezzy and it really helped me.
When you have a big family, it's impossible not to take things on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. Even if everything is not on the...
But you were taking the other stuff of other families as well.
Not on the right
with the
track
council and all, you know.
everything's not running smooth or running the way you'd like it to. Different. When young lads get big, they sort of want to do their own thing as well, you know what I mean? But they won't do everything that you'd like them to be doing, you know what I mean? So sometimes you might just overreact a little bit. But it doesn't take away the fact that you worry about them every minute of the day.
Yeah, but you were also, Martin, taking on the other stuff of people up in St. Margaret's with the council and all that.
Yeah, because that became... I
could see you were wearing it in your face nearly, you know?
I'll tell you what happened there, Dean. That became... that just didn't become a family thing. That became a community thing.
Yeah.
Where we lived. And the truth is, yes, I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but I felt like the whole thing was on my shoulders. Because for some reason or other, the council would come out and we'd be chatting to them. Then there'd be other people on the site asking you, what's the story with the council, how's things with them now, and are they doing anything and all this? So you felt like you were the one that had to fight.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
You know, man, like I almost, at points in time, and actually did take a full-blown mental breakdown.
This is what I was getting at.
From the pressure of wanting to back travellers, wanting to help travellers, wanting to help family, wanting to help certain family members, wanting to save people.
Yes.
Right?
Now you have it.
And the thing is, I learned now, you can't save no one.
No, you're right.
No one can be saved. You have to look after yourself. If someone wants to be saved, they will save themselves. Because I brought them all the way up to the water and they still won't drink it. I brought them like relations of mine with all different kinds of problems, mental health problems, drug addiction problems, arguments and fighting among the family, then the wider community stuff, political, and you do it all. And at the end of the day, you're there and you're taking a mental breakdown over the pressure. Because pressure, they say, create diamonds, but sometimes they can fucking turn it into dust.
That's right.
And we have to relieve the pressure and find ways of relieving the pressure ourselves. and give ourselves, like, that's why listening to a podcast is good, or, having these chats, it is good, because if you don't, you'll just burst.
No,
You'll
you're right.
burst open. You can't hold all that stuff in, and we can't save everybody. We just can't. We have to save ourselves, like.
His wife said that this for him is the best thing that he's ever done in terms of release.
Expression.
What happened to me was with the council, and it was the council, being honest about it, because they were the ones we were fighting with to sort of get, let's say, what we needed, if you
They
like.
are our number one enemy, always have been.
Being honest about it, yes. They put severe pressure on me, to be honest with you, along with the people on the site.
Yeah.
Everyone was like coming to me and ringing me. My phone could ring, seriously, no exaggeration, probably 40 times a day. What's the crack with the council? Are we talking to the council? What's happening now? What's such a fella out? What he's saying? And this was the one thing over and over and over. This went on. Now, I've had fights with the council in the past, and I've had lots of meetings with them. But this particular time, the pressure, my head was like,
Yeah.
that there was like,
Yeah.
and I couldn't take no more of it. And I finally, like, there was even people telling me, look, you look stressed out and all that sort of stuff. My own family, the best way to tell you, right? But you don't realise it.
Yeah.
Because you're not actually looking at yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So came to a stage then where I just switched off my phone and I went away with my family for like 2 days. It was 3 days. We went off, and it was like, when I say this is genuine, it was like putting £1 million into my hand. That's what the feeling. I'm not saying I know how it's like to have £1 million in my hand, but I'm saying is, I was like handed everything in them 3 days, and there was no pressure. There was no phone calls. There was no council. There wasn't a word about Dublin City Council. There wasn't a word about the site or what's happening today, what's happening yesterday, what's happening tomorrow. None of that whatsoever. It was the best couple of days that I had, literally in a long time. And along with that then, I was working very hard. I was doing old cars and scrap and you name it. Literally working very hard. Times I wouldn't finish up at maybe 10:30 in the evenings.
Yeah.
And my family would be saying to me, what's going on with you? Why are you working like this? You don't need to work this hard. You can just work a normal day's work and get a bit of a break or do something or go somewhere for yourself, all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't happening because I got caught up in it.
Yeah.
But then what happens was the work stopped basically, when I say against me will, if you like.
Yeah.
And after about a month, I wasn't doing as much. But the one thing I was doing, I was getting out of my caravan, finding things to do to keep me busy, because the brain wouldn't settle, you see.
Yeah.
And I slowly was doing less before I knew it. And then I realised, this is lovely.
Yeah.
This is what I should have been doing. Like you said earlier on, you need to look after yourself a little bit.
Totally.
And I'm telling you now, 1,000,000%, I was not looking after myself.
Do you
I don't smoke, no.
Thank God.
I have this habit about thinking about everybody else.
Do you drink?
No, I don't drink.
Don't drink or something?
When I say I don't drink, I probably wouldn't drink 3 times in a year.
Yeah, really.
And that's not just for the sake of saying,
Gee,
give him a what do you call
so
it?
the work then,
Tap
really,
on the back.
the work is what you thought, because you went into work then over it. Like other people, they go,
Yes.
I'm going to chew the fags, I'm going to drink. You start working late.
Wouldn't stop the work.
Yeah.
And that's including like looking after your family as well.
Yeah,
Like, you know
of
what I mean?
course,
You have to do everything that needs doing in your home. Like if your family, your wife and kids.
when
Look
he's-
after the responsibility.
When he
So
says
I'm getting all
work,
that
he's
in.
driving people here, he's building this for the bay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just non-stop, I seen him.
Torture.
In between all of that, then I'd have to, like, as normal for me, do my prayers in between all of that.
Yeah.
Like I'd stop work at 3 o'clock, into the caravan, do my Divine Mercy chaplet.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit, half an hour to do that.
Yeah.
Do a little more prayers around that.
Yeah.
And I'd go back out and work again.
And would you go
It's a
to
routine.
church every Sunday?
I'd go to Mass every Sunday. I used to go Mass almost every day.
I do. I do
go to all the different
the
churches.
graveyard every Sunday. I love the graveyard.
Yeah.
Love it.
Peaceful.
So peaceful. I swear
But
to
it's
God.
sad though, isn't it?
You know what, Martin?
Peaceful but sad.
It kind of
place to
is
go.
and it isn't. Like, in a way, I always avoided the graveyard for years because of my daddy. I could have gone 6 months without seeing him. You know, kind of I just always avoiding it, you know. But then when my grandfather died in 2019, my grandfather was like my daddy as well, you know. He took over from my daddy.
Yeah.
I was like the best man I ever knew. And when he died, that was like heartbreaking. I looked after him last few months of his life. I lived next door to me and a few other of the family. We all looked after him, you know.
Yes.
All chipped in and looked after him. But when he died, that was a bad one. And I felt so bad after that death that I had to go down and see him. And then when I went down and seen him, I just got this peace over my body. So then I'd walk down and visit him. I visit me daddy and Jimmy. I visit me two aunties. I visit me great grandparents, my grandmother, my cousins, and every Sunday just go walking around, and I just
It
get
was
this
like
peace.
you open up another page in your life, kind
Yeah,
of.
really did. Like something I discovered kind of later on, like because I was always, just I just didn't want to go around
Are
it.
you
You
a bit
know?
more comfortable with your own death?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
because
Because I find that helps. When I got comfortable with my death, I could accept my daddy's potential death.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Oh no, that's definitely a thing. Because my biggest fear was dying, particularly dying before. I always thought I was going to die before 31. Always thought that because my daddy died at 30.
Oh, is that
So I
right?
was convinced I was going to die before 31. So in 2020, I was 30. I was coming up to 31. That's when a lot of mad shit happened in 2020 for me. The political shit, the mental breakdown, all that stuff. Because I was chasing a deadline in my mind. And I thought I was going to die. If I wasn't going to die literally, I was going to die in one way or another.
With the
Big
COVID.
career,
You did.
whatever.
Was it?
Whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah, with the COVID kicking
Was it
in.
something about your father that sort of put this into your mind, kind
Oh
of?
yeah, him dying when I was 8, I was convinced I was never going to make it 31.
Serious.
And I always blame myself because the last time I saw him, he came into the camp and he was on a bit of a he was schizophrenic, so he was on a bit of an episode, and he wasn't well. And me and my brother Joe knew he wasn't well, and we could just feel that he wasn't well, and the camp were kind of gathered around him. And I remember that my mommy was like saying to him, Johnny, please stop, come back and go over to your mother and father's, come back when you're all right, and I'll bring the children over to you. And I remember him looking at us and he tried to get us. He said, come on, boys, come with me. And we went, no. And I remember the rejection that he saw. I remember him looking at us and his tears there, and he realised that he was making a show of us in front of everybody. I remember this very well.
What were
I
you
remember
about 8, is it?
I was 8. And I remember just taking it in, and he realised, I'm about to making a show in front of everybody. And that was the last time he saw him. He killed himself then.
Serious.
And I was out in the field. This is why I'll always have belief in God. I was out in the field and I was out playing by myself, and I was feeling really lonely this day. Real weird. So at the backfield, and I heard, Jono, me daddy. Jono, son, come here to me, son, come here to me. I was going, Daddy, where are you, like? And this was a big open field, like. And I said, Jono, come here, son, I love you, son, come here. So I walked into my mommy. I said, Mommy, so Daddy's calling me there for the last 10 minutes, like, where is he? She was like, she hadn't seen him, She knew he was, one place or another. And an hour later, ate the food. She come in for the food, ate the food. 2 guards come in. They'd found him 2 days before that.
Oh, no.
And then they had to come to the family to notify the body. Do you know what I mean?
And he was calling you just
He was
an hour
calling me,
before
yeah.
this for...
Calling me an hour before this. He drowned himself 2 days before this.
Jesus.
That's why you can
that's
never
tremendous.
be an atheist. Why I always have belief. And I remember another time in my life saying or going, something really bad was happening, someone was chasing me. And it was a life or death situation. And I said, Daddy, please help me. And I looked around and that person, let's just say, wasn't in the position to harm me anymore. Like that.
That's tremendous.
Mad. And then another way when I was going, I was just decided to kill myself one day, and then I got a knock on the door 10 seconds later. Joe, are you going to kill yourself? So he said to me.
Oh, no.
I don't know what the fuck. So all these little freaky experiences in my life, it was him, like me guardian angel, without a doubt, like.
Protecting you, yeah.
Then they're there, you know what I mean? And it's like, when you're open to that thing, you realise it all around you. Because you're like, even if you look at it from a scientific lens, when we break it down, we're just made up of energy. And what science tells us is that energy doesn't die. That's a law of the universe. You know what I mean? So if you look at that.
My brother asked me daddy about 5
That's
years
soul.
ago. We were driving in a car and my brother said to me, Dad, I think I said to him, my dad actually, but my brother was there. And I said, Dad, where do you think you go when you die? And he said, son, and I was waiting for this big, I don't know or whatever, you know what I mean? And I would have the fear of my daddy's death. And he said, I think we all return back to the universal energy. And I'm telling you what, it was the nicest things I've ever heard come out of my dad's mouth, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a soul, Dean. Like, your energy is a soul, because what we know is you will die one day. Dean Scurry will die. Baron Stokes will die. John Connors will die. Our physical selves are going to die. Our energy will never die. That's a law of the universe. That's a scientific way of looking at it. So I think that religion was always just trying to figure out that, you know what I mean? And I believe in God. I believe in a creator without a doubt. It's not even belief now. I know now. I know now. And then even the thing of me dying now, I don't want to die. Don't want to die anytime soon. No one wants to die. But I'm way more comfortable with it now than I was 2 years ago.
And
Just 2 years
that
ago.
allows you to live much more.
Much better. And also, it allows you to, like, I was living like I was going to die by that time. I was living, blowing the candles out. You know what I mean? I was living hard and enjoying myself and reckless behaviour and it was fucking 6 months of none of that and being like a priest. You know, like, because I go famine or feast, that's my personality. And I go all one.
Famine or feast, John Connor's the priest.
That's genuinely what I've often done a 3-day fast and then went into a 3-day bender in the past. That's what I have done that, like, that kind of extreme personality I have.
Yes.
And now in the last couple of years, because I did hit rock bottom, I took a mental breakdown. I realised that I fucking nearly ruined my career, basically, by getting involved in political stuff that I should have never got involved in. It was all self-sabotage and all me just trying to harm my own self, really. And now I go, fuck it. Like, fuck it. What the fuck is all this about? It's all bullshit. Focus on what's in front of you. Focus on what's real. Focus on your family. Focus on the people you love. Focus on yourself. Focus on the passion you have. And who gives a shit about all the rest of it? Let all the world sort that out for themselves. That's none of my business. I can't save anybody.
Nobody cares about nobody anymore, do
No,
they?
exactly. You know what I
And
mean?
it takes time to learn that, doesn't it?
100%.
But I don't
give
even think
your
that's in a
heart.
bad way. People have enough their
No,
own shit.
no,
Like,
I understand, totally understand that. But it is a reality that nobody cares about nobody. Yeah. And I don't mean that about absolutely everybody. Yeah. There's some nice people out there. We have to say that as well.
I was great at caring about everyone except for myself.
But you can give your heart, you can give your heart and soul to everybody.
And I've seen you doing it as well, caring about everyone else.
What comes to the realisation for me anyway is that you really don't have nothing in this life, only family.
Yeah, look, you hear the news, and, 20,000 people have died in an accident in Thailand. Do you blink an eye? You don't. You don't blink an eye, you know what I mean? Something happened down there, some child got killed in an accident in Kerry. Let's be honest, you don't blink an eye. You know, this is the world, you know what I mean? All you can really do is love the people you're familiar with, people who, look after them, try your best. Know when they're taking advantage of you as well. Because just because they're related to you, just because you're your son, daughter, cousin, mother, father, doesn't mean they can't manipulate you.
Doesn't mean they won't drag you to the gutters.
And take advantage of you. Do you know what I mean?
We all have our own self-interest.
Because we often think the people that we love or our family are innocent. No, our family can be as bad as anybody.
No, you're right.
And your family can be the worst thing about your life and the best thing about your life at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I always say the best thing about being a traveller is our family structure, and the worst thing about being a traveller is our family structure. Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah, I think what the family structure is that they know your weaknesses.
Yeah, of course
they know you're going to be kind to them no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what.
They know
what they're going to get away with. Yeah. You know how many chances you're going to give them. Do you know what I mean?
And that's forever, isn't it?
And then we know how to annoy each other the most. This is any family.
Yeah.
Like every family, I always say every family's fucked up. Every family, no matter what, anywhere in the world, they're all fucked up in their own way, and they all have their own language. And what I mean by that is they know how to make each other tick. They know how to, like me and my brother do this thing sometimes with each other. And we go like real passive aggression, Yes. Like letting on that we're not being aggressive, but we're being real smart with each other. And they're picking each other, oh, you ran a drink the weekend, yeah. Where were you? Did you have a good time? You know what I mean? And it's really like we're talking like I'm going to fix you now for the mommy or whatever. And it's all, and you're going, I'm going to break his fucking face. And we're annoying each other because we know what hurts each other so bad. Yeah. And we're willing to go there.
And it's all done in a lovely way, like.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the worst. Because I'd rather direct aggression. At least we could thump them out off each other. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, you do have different roles in families. Like, I remember my brother Paggy, and Paggy's 26 now. We got married there the other day. Yes. He got married to Megan McDonald and Finglas, lovely people. And everything's going great, and thank God. But when Paggy was like 17, 16, whatever, he was involved in a lot of mad shit, like, just chaos constantly, one thing or another. And I'd have to have sit-downs with very bowel fiends and blah, 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 you know what I mean? Then I remember, like, Paggy, everybody takes a character on in the family, they take a role on in the family. And Paggy became sort of the blame person, and I was blaming him. And there was stuff from whenever that I think was stressing mommy, and I was going, Paggy, you're stressing mommy, and please stop. But I was always confronting him with aggression, and you're blaming him.
The scapegoat.
Yeah, the scapegoat, you know what I mean? And putting it all on him. All on, none of my fault, like. And I remember doing
old golden balls John, innocent boy John.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where, what was it now? But 10 years ago, probably. 9 years ago. I remember doing a workshop with Tiernan, Tiernan?
Tiernan Williams, yeah.
Tiernan Williams, a very good friend of mine. A man has probably taught me more than fucking anybody in the world has ever taught me, to be honest. And I remember doing it, and he was looking at this triangle, this victim perpetrator triangle in the family, and I looked at it, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I've been putting all the blame on Peggy and taking no
Open up your eyes,
responsibility
isn't it?
when it's both our faults." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm as bad.
It's easy to do that though, isn't it?
I'm as bad.
You're
I'm
pointing
as
the
bad
finger
as
at him, going, he's creating all this, but you were actually perpetuating it.
Absolutely.
As the, what was the other
And I
word
was
there you used?
aggravating it.
The perpetrator.
Yeah, the
You were
perpetrator.
almost the perpetrator.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was. So I was like, this dawned on me, and I went, Jesus Christ, the cheek of me, like, talk about a fucking hypocrite. So I remember walking home from Kilbarrack the whole way to Arndale. I walked home. It was about a 25-minute walk, and it was a good walk, just figuring shit out. And I went to him, I walked up to him, and I remember saying to him, and Peggy tell you this, I said, Peggy, you know what I said? See all the stress we've been having, and we were killing each other. Like, I mean, headbutting each other, biting each other, you know, on the ground, rolling around. My uncles and aunts, and like, pulling us apart. And then 2 minutes later, he'd say to me, still love you, brother, because we're like that. You know,
Right,
it's Connors, you know what I mean? In our family. And the Wards, our mother's family, who were brought up, and they were all, you lurky bastard, we're never going to separate you again because we're loving each other 1 minute. And I said to Maggie, I said, do you know what? I said, the root of a lot of me and you arguing with each other, which is only causing more stress for mommy, is me and my approach to you. Blaming you, roaring at you, being aggressive with you. And I have to realise you're now a man. And I'm, because I'm 7 years old, I always looked at it like a father.
Yes.
You know? And I realise you're a man now, and I haven't been respecting you. Actually, I've been disrespecting you and putting all the blame on you. And I'm every bit as fault as your fault in this. I'm every bit as guilty. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm going to make you a promise. When I've something to say to you, I'm going to just say it to you without anger. And I'm going to just communicate to you. And I just want you to do that with me. Will that do? And he says 100%. And we've never roared at each other since.
Very good.
That's about 9 years ago.
Well,
we haven't roared.
cleared the air. Like,
We haven't fought since. We haven't done any of that since.
He said that to me last night. He has a twin, his twins in Liverpool, for loads of different reasons, industrial schools and all that. But he said I've never had an argument with him.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, what a
That's
place
something
to be
else.
with your brother.
That's something else, yeah.
You know, I've never had an argument with him.
Me and my brother Joe now, we argue when we were children, and then now we would never argue as adults. Like, we'd never ever. And then Parky, Joe would argue with Parky, I would argue with Parky because he was just young, and we were always trying to, you know, set the rules down for him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and then at a certain point, my friend, he's getting older now. You know what I mean? He's learned from himself. And Parky's a very, like, when I said that the Parky got that straight away. He's a very emotionally smart person, you know.
Yes.
Like, he just got that, just took it on his chin. He went, Johnny, you're totally right. That's the way to do it. Very intelligent, you know what I mean? Very intelligent young fella. And now it's just the way that, now we get on. Me and my brothers are the closest, but like, you wouldn't get closer brothers. Like, we've a rule, Martin, if we do argue with each other, right, we have a stupid argument, like, we will not go the rest of that day without talking. Like, we will not do that. We just won't do that.
No.
We'll not let the sun go down without us talking.
Very good.
So I remember there was an argument a good few years ago, me and Parky getting into this argument with each other. Whatever it was, something stupid anyway. And then Parky punched the face off himself. Now, when I mean punch the face off himself, I mean he hit himself 20 uppercuts into the face. So then Joe got in the argument with him right afterwards, but he was after letting himself wake.
Oh, all right.
And Joe and him got into a fight then. And Joe kind of done him in the fight.
Because he was already tired.
Parky was already nearly dead with the pain he gave himself, right? So Parky down the end of the site down to me cousins, the Purcells. And me and Joe started laughing because Joe gave him a bit of a baiting in the fight, you know. And I was calling back, piñata. Do you know what a piñata is? You know the Mexican things that you fill up with ties and you just take beatings. Do you know what I mean? So me and Joe walked down and he's in the trailer and I said, Paggy, the piñata, Connor's come out. But I was only mixing with him, you know what I mean? And he walks out and he was, the fuck you two fucking traps I'm going to get. I said, nah, stop being sick now. You saying you're not talking to us? Is that what you're saying? And he went, all right, then forget about it. And that's it, we just left it. That's the way, and the best of us going, you sick bastard. That's the way we get on with each other. We will not allow each other to go without a night. We'll go, you sick bastard. Because the other two will call that fella out. Are you actually serious? You want to have a big argument? Like, you want to fall out with your brother? Yes. You actually want to fall out with your brother?
You're gonna put your head in the pillow and have a sleep.
You're not going to talk to your brother for years. That's what I mean.
Copy Savan kind of
thing. And then we just copy Savan. Like, right then, boys, leave me alone. And then you just laugh. That's the way to do it. Because you do see it, you know, with our brothers and all. And you see them going 20 years without talking.
Holding stuff in for each other.
It's fucking horrible.
Yeah,
like, you know, I have two granduncles that haven't talked to each other in 50 years. 50 year, like.
This isn't
My my grandmother's 2 brothers. And you go, Jesus, life's too fucking short,
Some
lads.
people take things too personal altogether.
Don't you though?
And it
Like,
can be something simple in that.
yeah.
Something simple,
Because
yeah.
it's the best thing in the world to have a brother or sister like that, you know what I mean? That you get. I've no sisters, I've 2 brothers, and thank God, they're the best brothers in the world.
Yeah, very
Do
good.
you know what I mean? Like, they're the best brothers in the world. I'll do anything for them. They'll do anything for me. I'll die for them, they'll die for me. What's mine is theirs, what theirs is mine, and we all look after each other.
That's a good way to be, though.
And
isn't it?
you just can't get better than that. There's nothing like it in the world, like. And then my mother, the best mother you ever seen in your life, thank God. You know what I mean? My mother was my mother and father. So I'm blessed. So when you have a good family, you're laughing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit happens in life, bad things happens, but then you look at the good. And there's a lot more good than bad. I have my health. On my eyesight, I can hear, I can feel, I can touch, I can walk, I can talk, I can communicate. You know what I
You
mean?
have to be thankful for the good things too, haven't you?
Found the thing I want to do in life, going for it. You know what I mean? You just fucking give thanks. Whether you're giving thanks to fucking a Catholic God, a Protestant God, a Muslim God, or whatever you want to believe in. Like, it is that thing of gratitude. Our friend Damo talks about Damien Dempsey, gratitude.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Being grateful for what you have.
Yeah, you have to be grateful for
And if
things
you
like
remind
that,
yourself of what you're grateful for, you know,
Cause
Jesus,
it
I have a
did-
lot to be grateful for.
It just didn't just come from nowhere, like.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Well, even that thing of the Big Bang, like, where did the Big Bang come from? Like, you can have that
We're
conversation.
in now. Here we go.
You know what I mean?
What was that? An hour and a half, and the Traveller Boys are talking about the Big Bang. Come on,
Yeah.
I'm going to sit back and listen to this one.
Yeah, but where did the Big Bang? Where did the Big Bang come from? Do you know what I mean? Like, so, like, you can talk about like these things. You talked about these things for fucking ever, but science does not explain everything. I think science is yet to come up with a lot of things. I think science will. I think there's one fella. I think he's Michiko Kaka. He's a South Korean American professor, and he's like a physicist, and he believes that he has a math theory that proves the existence of God. So I think all of that is up there. It's all up for grabs. I truly believe there's a God. I know there's a God.
Where do you think you're going when you die then?
That's a good question, Martin. That's a good
Do you
question.
believe there's a heaven, yeah?
I believe. I don't know if I believe in a heaven as in like a heavenly gate thing. I believe there's consequences to where you go
Yeah.
and how you live your life. I do believe that. I do believe if you live your life in a bad way, there's consequences to where you go afterwards.
Yes.
And if you live your life in a good way, I think there's consequences to where you go afterwards.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
what I do believe. If that's a heaven or hell, maybe it is. You know what I mean? I don't, I don't know. And in terms of even religion, I wouldn't consider myself really religious. I look at Jesus like a figure, and I go, what Jesus preached is, if you could live your life in the way that Jesus lived your life, you're going to do a lot of good in your life. You're going to be a good person to be around, and people are going to like you, and you're going to get along in life, and you're going to influence people in a positive way if you can live according to His gospel. That's a fact.
That's right, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think that the Jesus way is, there are other ways. For me, we're going to the top of the mountain, and there's different paths to the top.
Yeah.
And that science for me is a technical way. This is how we're going to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
But I think science is limited by its limiting factors, like the speed of light. And
Yeah.
we can't imagine that faster than the speed of
Yeah.
light until we have the speed of consciousness.
Yeah.
Because I can think myself onto Mars and back in the blink of an eye. That's faster than that.
And science is always advanced, so it's never got to the next place. It's always going one level up, always discovering new things. And then the thing of science is when you figure out something, then you try to batter that idea to the point where you disprove it. That's what science is all about.
They come up with something new, these scientists, and then let it be a month or 12 months after, they come up with something new again on the same,
They
let's
just keep
say,
themselves in a job.
let's
like
say,
the politicians.
let's say the same assessment, if you like.
Yeah.
And the thing they came up with 12 months ago is no good now.
Yeah.
But it was top class when they came up with it
It's like
first.
a new discovery with
So,
all
what
the
is it?
antidepressant medication, right? So they thought they had it figured out how our serotonin receptors react to certain medication and how that relates to our mood and our dopamine ingestion and all that stuff, and that's all been ripped up. Like that's been ripped apart now. In
I
the
haven't
last 2
seen that
months.
because I was on it.
It's all
I
completely.
was on SSRIs for a
It's all
couple of
false.
months.
They don't know. They actually don't even know now. Now they go, we don't know. We
don't
don't know
know.
why certain things work and why they don't, and we don't know what enhances the mood and this, that, and the other. We just know that this is an accident, and we haven't figured it out. We pretended like we knew it all along. You know what I mean? So that's science. That's neuroscience.
And it's still
So
all...
it's always advancing. We're always fucking learning all the time. Like.
But I think even once you go outside the realms of science, you're into that other stuff, mystical, esoteric, religious, whatever it is. And I think that is, for me, is potentially as endless as, if you can go back to the big bang, and then you can go forwards to the end of time. And I think that religious, mystical stuff fills all that space, and it's beautiful. Like,
yeah, without a doubt, and like it's about really it's about love and bringing people together. Like, and religion, it's been proven. Study after study has shown the people who have religion and who have faith in life live happier lives.
Yeah, that's right.
They live happier lives. They live longer lives. They actually live longer. Because if you think about it, if you believe in an afterlife and you believe in a God, you believe in a spiritual realm, that world, well then you're not going to live like there's none of that. Because if you're living like there's none of that, you're going, fuck it then. I'll live more negatively.
But that got hijacked a little bit, I think, from religion. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And
everything gets corrupt. Like,
do good stuff, or else you're going to hell.
And that's where the Catholic Church went too far. And that's where even like if you look at, I always make the difference of the Catholic Church versus the religion too, right? Because the church is a fucking organisation, like Facebook or Google is, right? And they did a lot of bad things as an organisation, the cover-ups and the sexual abuse. But then the religion is completely separate in the church. You know, and the thing is, the problem with the Bible is that because it's very interpretive, you can interpret it to justify your own means, your own belief in what you want to project. Like they interpret the Bible in order to justify slavery. That's the thing they did, and then also
homophobia.
And homophobia, but the people on the other side, you know, but then to emancipate the slaves. Abraham Lincoln used the Bible to emancipate the slaves. Do you know what I mean? Because you can interpret it any way you want it, and it's about the hands that it gets into. There's evil everywhere, including in the Catholic Church. There's evil in every church, in every religion. You know what I mean? That's why you should just have your own personal relationship with it. You know, I love churches. I love going to churches. Love owl churches.
Yeah,
like I travel around Ireland for owl churches and owl graveyards. Like I travel around. Bring me mother,
myself.
Bring me granny. I love it.
When I peace, like church, I couldn't really stay all day in the church.
You know what I mean? I love it.
I like the peace in it.
And I get a lot from it.
The thing about the churches is, as you know, there's probably a lot of churches closed down the last so many years, but it's sort of going in the direction where there will be closing down more churches.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's up to let's say our own individuality, if you like, to have our own personal relationship with God.
Absolutely.
No matter where we are.
Because you don't need a church.
We're in the church or out of the church.
Yeah.
Have that relationship with God.
Yeah.
So you're still keeping your faith there within yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
My relationship with whatever it is has grown in the last couple of years. I mean, like, I'm a bit older now. I was 49 last week. When I was 12, I was an altar boy. And then you kind of grow out of it and you get into other stuff and you're in relationships and da-da-da-da. But in the last couple of years, I've had that relationship with gratitude, but it's evolved into a relationship with grace. And for me, grace is don't only have gratitude for the good stuff, but for all of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some of the best lessons I learned was from the hardest stuff that happened to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have to take the good and the bad. You're going to accept the good, you're going to have to accept the bad. Or it's going to destroy you. Like, to use a religious word, what I'm trying to actually do in my life, and I've kind of pinpointed what I'm trying to do in my life, which is I'm trying to lead a righteous path. And what I mean by that is I want to stay true to myself. I want to do good, but I will not be taken advantage of. I'll be open to people when they come to me, and I'll accept it, and I'll try to learn. Right. And then I'll know when to go no and have boundaries.
What without being self-righteous?
Exactly, because I have the curse of being fucking very agreeable. People would not think that. People wouldn't know me. They go, that John Connor's a very disagreeable person, very angry, whatever. My problem is because I'm so agreeable, when I was taken advantage to a point, then I go that they're using my agreeableness against me, my kindness for weakness, and then I become really disagreeable and really argumentative, and then I shut people down, and then no one learns nothing. Now I'm learning to go, no, to take people as they come, learn how to put a boundary down without getting taken advantage of or taking advantage of anybody.
Yeah. And
just lead that path to what's true to you, you know? And fucking just look after the people around you. If you can do that, that's a big fucking thing. But if you can do that, you're fucking laughing.
Say a word out of that there. Sometimes saying no you can actually do good for others.
Absolutely.
You can learn them to walk their own path, learn them to stand on their own 2 feet.
Yeah.
It actually gives, and now sometimes people can take offence by no. We understand that as well.
Yeah.
But at times when you're saying no to somebody, you're actually making them a stronger person.
Well, you can give them fish, or you can teach them how to fish. Yeah, look, there's a lot of things to say around that subject matter as well. Like people, they become crippled in their own way, and they look for you to do things for them all the time, and then that's the reality is they're never going to learn. They're just never
Yeah, it's
gonna
kind of
learn.
like the
Life is hard, like.
the apathetic victim.
Yeah.
I'll just sit back here and feel sorry for myself, but I'll allow you to wipe my own arse for me as well.
And there are people out there who will allow you to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But we do enable them. That's the thing. You know, we are half the problem. We do enable these people because we're always there to save
You're
them.
always willing to help.
Yeah.
That's
and the
right.
thing is, sometimes people, not even sometimes, when people are going down a certain direction, they have to hit rock bottom. They have to hit rock bottom. They go, oh, fuck, you know what, I'm actually alone. Because when I break it down, we are actually all alone. And when it gets to a certain point and a certain level, we are alone. We have to be able to look after ourselves at a basic human level. If people are looking after us, people are taking us down this way and that way, you're never going to live a happy life. You need to have your own autonomy, your own thing over yourself.
That was a lovely moment when, because I was in a relationship, I got really depressed, I was suicidal, went to the doctor, got the SSRIs, moved into my mammy's, and I sat with myself for about 2 years. But one of the really beautiful moments was when I owned my own loneliness, and I just accepted it, and I was kind of like in awe of it, going, fucking hell, this is what loneliness is. What a gift for you to kind of reset what you thought about yourself and the world, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, Dean, if you can do that and you sit with your own loneliness, you learn a lot about yourself, don't you? Like that kind of stoicism, you know what I mean? That being able to just be alone, feel you're lonely, get over it, you know, really just break it down psychologically. These are natural feelings, you know? Like when I see people sometimes, they go, I'm depressed, you know, talk to me, and I go, okay, so what are you doing in your life right now? Oh, well, you know, I'm drinking a bit and I'm doing a bit of stuff at the weekend and I'm in a job that I hate. Okay, so you're depressed then? Yeah. Well, you're justifiably depressed. You can't be happy all the time. You're not going to be lonely all the time. You're not going to be sad all the time. They're all different states that change all the time, depending on what you're doing with your life. And sometimes it's all right. It's all right to go, I'm a bit depressed today. I have a reason to be depressed. Like something, I got news recently, and it was bad news I got. And I fucking busted out crying. This is the beginning of the week. I busted out crying. Now I didn't bust out crying in front of the person there was bad news about, because I wanted to act like we'll be grand, and we will be grand.
Yes.
But at the same time, I couldn't show that to that person, because it's about staying positive. But at the same time, I went to McDonald's, got myself a coffee, and I busted out crying. And I said to myself, right, you're getting bad news. You're crying, and it's all right. That's the appropriate response to what you were just told, to what you just experienced. Now, you've had your cry. You've had your moment. Let it go now.
Straighten up.
And be there for that person. And it's all going to work out, because God is good. And we're going to look after each other and be positive, because the power of the human mind and positivity and actual positivity is unbelievable. My aunt, let me tell you a story about my aunt, talking about religion and positivity. My aunt Margot got diagnosed with cancer way back, 2009, 10 or whatever. Ended up going stage 4. I went into the room to talk to the doctor, this Indian doctor in over the south side, Vincent's or one of them, Vincent's. And the doctor was very emotional, because he'd only lost his own son through cancer, right? And he was just kind of emotional. Probably shouldn't have been back in the job at the time, you know. Right. And I felt for the man. And my aunt didn't go into the room. I went in with my other aunts to get the results. My aunt Margaret didn't want to go in. So he said, look, I'm very sorry to tell you, but it's bad news. She's terminal. It's stage 4, very advanced. No treatment is going to help her. And we went, what? He said, look, if you go with the chemotherapy, she might live 12 months. If you don't go with it, she might live 6 or 3 months. So I said, right, okay. Went out of the room, my aunt's crying, went out to Margaret, couldn't fully tell her, all of us. I got all the medical records, which were all on file, and I digitalised them and sent them to every hospital all across the world, looking for someone to save me and Margot. Yes. They all said no, except for one place in Mexico that was an experimental place that after I Googled and done my research, it looked like a really dodgy mace place where they made out of it, like, of the grade, like. So Margot was dead, basically. So my granny Chrissy said, right, we're all going to knock. So she hired a coach, and we all jumped on the coach, and then 20, 30 cars beyond that.
Lovely
We
move.
went down to knock with Father Paddy. Well, Father Paddy?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Saying to the travellers, in my
That's
opinion.
right, he is,
He
yeah.
should be cannon. When he passes, and I hope he doesn't pass for a long, long time, the man, he needs to be turned into the traveller saying, the true
He is
traveller
brilliant,
saying.
isn't he?
The Irish traveller saying, I think he is anyway.
He loves travellers.
So we went down to knock, walked around knock, and it was one of the most beautiful days ever. Like, ever, you know, and the family all together laughing, and it was like 100 of us, probably 100 of us
Yes.
together, like, and laughing, and my cousins who got up singing Our Lady of Knock in the church, and
Lovely.
it was unbelievable, like, and we all had dinner together, and unbelievable. Father Paddy did a rosary. We walked all around the different parts of Knock, and a few months goes by, and me and Margaret's still alive. A few months goes by, and me and Margaret's still alive. 9 months goes by, and me and Margaret's still alive. She goes for another scan. Back into the doctor's office again. I go into the doctor. Doctor starts smiling. Gets emotional. I've news for you. Good news. I said, what? Hang on. Good news, yeah? He said, your aunt's cancer has shrunken down to the size of a grain of salt.
Lessons house.
And I said, hang on, doctor, wait a minute. I said, 9 months ago, you told us she was going to be dead within 12 months. Like, are you saying, what are you saying? Like, are you saying she's going to live? He said, yeah. He said, what did you do? I said, we all went to knock. I said, and every traveller in the country is praying for her. He said, oh, and you know what? He said, I wish you were praying for my son. The man said. And that's 10 years ago, me Aunt Margot, still alive, not a bother her, in remission, cured.
Thanks be to God. Huh?
And everybody came together, and it brought the family together, you know, family members who weren't talking, and everybody just know the goodness of that.
That's right.
They all start talking together. They all went, right.
There's more to it, like, wasn't there?
Oh, everybody going together, and they all wanted one thing, which was Margot to be okay. And she's a miracle. And Father Paddy always says, there's Margot the miracle. You know what I mean?
10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not about her now, yeah. So that's the power of religion. It's the power of belief. It's the power of people coming together. The power of people prayer.
And for me,
love,
that's the grace thing. Because that thing that we all thought was so terrible was actually the thing that brought us all closer. You know?
Yeah, prayer would be the fact that you all got together. It does make that prayer more powerful.
And people who wouldn't talking for the sake of her.
Yeah. Miracles were happening there without even seeing it, without even realising it.
Yes, exactly.
It was,
and that blew my mind.
That
blew my mind when that happened.
Now imagine the amount of peace that was brought into the families at that stage as well.
Unbelievable. And faith, and people getting reinvigorated with
course.
faith. Do you know what I mean? And people going, wow, look what happened to Margaret. It's a fucking miracle, like.
Yeah, it is.
There's all travellers on Facebook and, you know, up and down the country and all praying for her. Do you know what I mean? Like,
travellers have a good faith.
Yeah.
And as I said, that's genuinely that happened through the power of prayer.
Absolutely.
But if the faith wasn't there, they wouldn't have the prayer. The prayer wouldn't be there.
And look, you can go like, it's two. You can look at it two different ways. You can go to the power of the prayer in the praying of the coming together, or the praying to an Almighty. But it's both anyway. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Because even coming together like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, faith brought you together.
It brought us together.
About that.
So it's both. Yeah. And it's praying to whatever that almighty power is.
And then you can look at the other one, the science part of it, but I think that the science part of it is limited, and it gets blown out of the water by the connection that happens when people come together.
And it's all that good energy.
Yeah.
But it can be all that good energy. But you're right, it doesn't explain enough of it.
I remember one time, a friend of mine, he rings me, right? He said, Martin, he said, will you do me a favour? He said, will you say a prayer? He said, my little girl, he said, that's the fault, he said. And her head is basically, they wasn't sure was it bleeding from the inside or what. But anyway, I think it was in the end, I'm not sure. But I said, yes, I will. I said, I'll ring you back in 2 minutes. But then I ring a friend of mine, right? I remember a friend that died a few weeks ago, and he was one of the most religious men I've ever experienced and seen and I got to know in my life. Alan Hannigan, his name was. God rest him. But he was a very, very, very good friend, right? And I rings Alan, didn't I? I knew there was no one else to ring, only Alan, because he was like, his life was prayer, mass, God, you name it. So I said, Alan, I said, will you do me a favour? I said, a friend of mine, I said, just rang me, I said, and his little girl has fallen and she's in hospital at the moment and I'm very worried about her and thinking about doing an operation. at the time. Now, up to this day, I didn't go into too big a detail about it because I don't know if they did at the time, but sort of pretty sure they did anyway. But anyway, he said, yeah, Mart, he said, I'll do it right now, he said. I'm on my way to Knock, he said, with two coaches full with people, he said. And I'm going to get everybody, he said, to pray for her now, pray the rosary there and then, basically, right? So it's two coaches on the way to Knock, 52 seaters, full to the brim. And he rang to the other coach, didn't he? And, of course, told them all, start praying now. But thanks be to God, they got to Knock anyway. And was it that evening or next morning, early hours, when he rang me and he said, my little girl is okay now. He said, thanks be to God, he said. He said, obviously, someone was praying for her. But the bit I left out was, I rang him. I said, I was on to a good friend of mine there now, I said. And he said he has two coaches on the way to Knock, and he has everybody and then coaches praying the rosary for your little girl. It was a miracle, wasn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. I was actually excited myself about it at that moment that we rang him, and I mean, so the moral of the story is the girl is brand new, thanks be to God, and it was the power of prayer.
Of course it is.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I'm million percent certain.
If you look at a lot of the old traveller, if you look at the suicide rate and you look at all the different stuff and the discrimination and the conditions and all that, like one of the things that gets traveller through it is religion and his prayer and his faith.
Oh yeah.
Gets them fucking through it.
Even say myself now, my own experiences with prayer now, I'm literally like a zombie.
Yeah.
If I'm not praying, if I'm not going to mass, I'm not receiving the body of Christ, that's my lifeline, basically.
Of course, yeah.
When I go to mass, or if I'm, say, look, we all have problems in life, simple as.
Sure.
And if I'm down now for one reason or another, there's something going on, or something wrong, or something I'm not happy about, I just everything gets dropped, simple as, and I'm gone straight into prayer.
Yeah.
And before I know it, I'm coming back to myself, I'm nice and smooth, I'm getting happy again. Now I'm building up, my faith is sort of getting stronger again inside me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know now, no matter what the situation is, I know now that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what it might be.
Yeah.
Could be a simple worry about something stupid as well. And I kind of help myself. I'm one of them persons that keeps all worrying about everything.
Yeah.
But again, when you have a big family, you kind of help it. Like, you know what I mean?
I do the same when I go down. Whenever I get really down or something happens and I get really depressed, I go down to my daddy in the graveyard. Yeah. And I just sit in front of my daddy and I talk to him.
That's where you find your strength again, basically, isn't it?
I just sit in front of daddy because it's like, I've went so far, so long in my life, and you wouldn't go down, and I would never even talk about him in a way, because I remember for years I would have like blamed them. First of all, it's my fault he's dead. Then thinking, blaming him for you leaving us behind and we got bullied and all this other stuff.
All the bad things will come to your mind, basically.
But then when I'm down and weak, I think of him. And then he gives me strength, and I just go down and say, Daddy, please help me.
So now you're looking at a different
relationship with him, you know? Yeah. And I forgive him. I forgive him for what he did. More than forgive him, I understand he was in some pain.
Yeah.
And that he just had to get out of that pain. And in his mind, it was the best thing he was doing for us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he did. So, obviously, he didn't realise.
He didn't know. Mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because I've been in that position myself, going nearly checking out here. Yeah. So just sitting down in front of him and just having a conversation, Daddy, listen, this is what's going on here. Please help me, guide me, do something, put something my way, just to help me here get through this. I know it would have to be something that's really deep before I'd go there. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd have to mean something, or if there's a problem, or if someone's sick, or whatever it is, and I need strength.
But you know when you're leaving there,
I feel pumped.
Yeah, strongest man in the world.
Every time I do it, I walk home and I walk
full of life again, basically.
And I do be laughing.
Yeah,
I do be laughing like.
He was telling me about a pilgrimage he goes on down in Lough Derg, is it?
Lough Derg, yeah.
And he goes onto this little island and he's there for 2 or 3 days and it's a fast and you can't speak and you don't eat and you're hardly sleeping and all this type of stuff. And he said you'd be drained, but when you leave it, you just feel energized and connected.
Yeah, I'm on a fast right now. I haven't eaten in 3 days.
Serious, have you not?
Yeah, and I feel fucking unbelievable. Once you hit about 60 hours around that time, you feel brilliant.
Complete black fast, is it?
Yeah, went on a fast because of bad news during the week, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do a fast. I'm going to do a fast and just give it up. And,
fast is very, very powerful, though.
Yeah, and I feel unbelievable right now. Only water, only than water. That's it.
That's what Our Lady says in Medjugorje. Prayer and fasting combined
Yeah, and all religions do fasting.
is the most
That's the
powerful thing in this world.
Islam, Buddhism,
Yeah, that's right.
Christianity, all religions.
So
and
it proves
beyond.
there has to be like something there
Absolutely.
from it, like, isn't it?
And if you look at what it does to you, your body.
Yeah.
Fasting is the best thing in the world for your body, for healing your body. So fasting itself heals your body, because it releases hormones, testosterone, which is great for men to release, human growth hormone, which is the anti-aging hormone, autophagy, which is a process that gets rid of all your old stem cells and replaces them. And so it's like reboots your immune system. This is the process that happens when you do a fast. You're fucking adding time onto your life every time you do a fast. So it's only obvious something like that is good in a greater sense, no matter what. Anyway,
it's like a million benefits,
exactly.
and you probably wouldn't even
spiritual,
realise it.
everything.
Yeah.
When
And then it's great for the head.
I was going to say that heals the
Fucking
mind.
great
and all,
for the
isn't
head,
it?
like.
When I was
heals the mind.
doing medicine with a lady from Peru, and I done cacao and cambo and ayahuasca. By the time I got to the ayahuasca, all my body wanted was water. Didn't want anything else. It was just saying, just do water then. I wasn't craving salts or fats or sugars or any of that.
What was it like?
It was basically you're going back into the river to meet mama. That's basically what it is.
How long did it last?
It was about 8 hours. Once you drink the medicine, you're going all the way. It was
It was scary.
absolutely, yeah. It was all the scary and all the love all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was all of those experiences.
Well, Martin, would you ever do something like that?
No.
But we
You're
had
terrified.
Richie Smith on a couple of
Russ
weeks
said
ago
the
talking
producer.
about it, and Richie done it for 7 days. And we were trying to explain it to Martin, and it was the first time he kind of ever heard about it.
7 days.
Yeah, he done like a 7 day.
In America,
He done it in
yeah,
LA.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
He done that in America, yeah.
that'd be intense.
I wouldn't. I
It's
wouldn't
big,
even think about doing it.
It's a big success rate for people with addictions
Yeah.
and depression.
But a lot of it reminded me what he was saying about the pilgrimage fast he done. You know what I mean? Down in Lough Derry, because it's a similar kind of
Of course
process.
it is. Well, even the idea of a shaman, sure, we've had our own version of it in Ireland too. And even the idea of a sweat lodge, which the Native Americans had, Southern Natives had, First Nations peoples had. We also had that in Ireland. They had it in Russia. They had it everywhere. All across the world, it's called the collective unconscious. All across the world, people were doing similar things at the same time. They were getting the same or similar spiritual place at the same time.
Well, as you said there, praying is meditating. Priests are shamans. We just change the words around.
Exactly.
Change the location around.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what Bible, what path, what way you're going to the top of the mountain.
That's a good way of looking at it, what way you're going to the top of the mountain. Like, it's like, we all believe in what's above the mountain, like, so, or you do or you don't. But I tell you, when you don't, you're not as happy in life.
Yeah.
You're definitely not. Like, I know people who are atheists,
Yeah.
and they're not happy. And it does stop them in, like, I see a lot of artists now, they're atheists. Artists are atheists, and I can't get that, because to me, to be an artist, you have to believe in, that spirituality about art, you know what I mean, and that creativity. Where does creativity come from? Where does that come from? Where does creativity come from? The creative thought come from?
But I think for me, art and
Because that's
creativity,
spiritual to me.
for me, it's our human way of trying to explain what we're in, what we're doing, where we came from, where we're going. That's where you get all the songs and poems and stories and all that. We're just trying to explain back to ourselves where we are. And I know when I went in and done that medicine, I met Mother Mary, and she stood there and she held me in her bosom and she kissed me. And she goes, "You're home."
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to find my way home since I was born, since I came out of my mother's womb.
Yeah.
And she held me and she said, "You're home."
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I did DMT one night.
Yeah.
I did DMT. Do you know what DMT is? So DMT is a synthesized version of ayahuasca. It only lasts 10 minutes. Right. And I met Mother Nature. Remember that? I met Mother Nature. And Mother Nature showed me all the bad that has happened in the world. All the trauma, Nazism, everything. And she came in the form of a serpent. And she scared the shit out of me. And then she started smiling. And she changed into this beautiful woman. And then she showed me all the good. And the good was 10 times more. And that was her message. There is bad, but there's way more good. And anything happen to you, you let it go. It's up to you. And it was so much
forgive
better.
your daddy.
You forget, exactly. You forgive yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't beat yourself up. you fool. Don't be your biggest enemy. You know what I mean? Like, and I was a mad experience now, deadly experience.
And you're creating art like the Black Wealth as your way of explaining that
Exactly.
to yourself and other people.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Talk about
Using the art.
creativity. I believe creativity comes from God above anyway.
That's what a lot of people do believe. That's, you know what I mean? It's spiritual.
Well, Damien would believe that he's just a vessel for God.
Damo thinks it comes from it's God the Spirit.
He's a channel, and he just opens himself up.
Yeah,
and it comes in.
Yeah.
I have other people questioning: do you believe in heaven or do you believe in hell? I believe in heaven. Be honest about it. I was at a mass one time, and there was a man there who was speaking about literally heaven and hell, basically.
Yeah.
And he asked some of the people. He said, "Do you believe in hell?" And because not talked about enough, basically. And someone was just literally shaking the shoulders, like. And he said, "You will," he said, "when you get there." So you either believe in heaven or hell, which is
it's funny because in the modern
we hear
world,
good things about heaven.
Yeah.
We hear bad things about hell. So what do you want to
kind
believe
of put it to the back of our mind.
Yeah, but that's what I do believe. There's consequences to being a good or bad person.
Yes.
I believe there is. Like,
Yeah.
and I think most people meet them consequences in life, even.
Well, that's what
never mind the
that's what I was
afterlife.
saying to Martin. For me,
That's
the
right.
hell is the consequences of your actions that you meet here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it can be, and how you can fucking be in hell in your own mind. That can be fucking hell.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You told me sometimes you'd be out on a bender for 3 days and you'd say to me, Dean, stay away from A, B and C because that will leave you in hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're steeped in this country, we're steeped in different chemical solutions like
For sure.
cocaine or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, these things come in and they're basically... They're medicines or they're escapism. Because people want to escape all the time. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So if you don't confront your trauma or the unresolved trauma, I always say unresolved trauma comes back to collect. So whatever you're holding in, what isn't said becomes a symptom. You'll see it coming out in your behaviour. And you will go towards things that allow you to escape, although for a short period of time. And the reality is that it comes back at you harder than ever. These things that you choose, this... behaviour, it only makes it worse. It only makes the voice louder to the point where it's screaming in your head. Yeah, and they're just not good for you. But it's the culture we live in. It's Irish society. It's modern society. These are the things we do. You know, back in the day, you know the thing. Like we constantly had a purpose back in the day, before technology, before all the modern stuff.
And our culture is, as this is what I was saying a few minutes ago, our culture is our behaviour, the conversations, the thing we do, the actions. That's what becomes the culture. And sometimes the bare knuckle fighting thing is the thing we think that's the culture. And it is, but also sitting down and having conversations, sitting down at the fire, loving your mammy, forgiving your daddy.
Yeah.
That's the culture.
Absolutely. And the best part, like Travers' culture is fucking, when you boil it down to it, it's storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, Travers just tells stories. That's what we do. It's Irish culture as well in a wider sense. And telling stories get us through the hardest of times. It's why we make films. It's why we sing songs.
That's why we do podcasts now.
It's why we do podcasts.
But the reality is the traveller lifestyle is nice to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Most of all, if you had a bit of peace for starters.
Yeah, exactly.
In your life, whether it be in your head or around you, whatever it might be. Yeah. Once you have that, you have more or less everything.
Yeah.
But the other things about, say, travellers, how they, well, maybe not now, so many travellers have changed, to be honest about. The life that they used to live. When you just sort of think back or reflect on the certain parts of it, sure, it's as homely and as comfortable as can be.
Of course.
No, it might have been tough and rough in different ways, but there was certain parts of it.
But we were connected to nature.
Yes.
But you still are. I think you just need to feed it.
Oh, yeah, there's still that connection. And look, I remember when a child, I was 10 years of age, went to school, had warts. This girl, I'll never forget her name, Leanne. I'm not going to say her second name, she was only a child. But Leanne slagging me because I had warts. She was calling me a smelly knacker and all this, right? So I had warts, I busted out crying. And I was walking back into the site, and my old grandfather, Paddy Ward, I was talking about, who died, he was building an old four-wheeler. And it was some man, his man was a legend. Gifted. And it's just gifted with his hands. And you know him now, in his mind, he was shite. You know, the Mel Travers, like, he can build anything, but he'd say, money now, Wally, I'm a fool, like. The man created a masterpiece with his hands. But anyway, he said, John, son, come here, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? the girl in the school and she's calling me with knacker and me with hands is warts. I said, warts, well, show me them. I said, don't worry about that, I have a cure for that, son. So I'm going to finish yourself forward there. I said, I'll come down and get you later on. I'll bring you down this evening down to the back of the field. I said, why, you have a cure? Yeah. So all right, I said, no bother. Comes down and gets me, knocks on the door, come down, John, blah, 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 walks down the end of the field. Beautiful field it was, and the sun was just coming down, never forget it. And we're going around all the ditches, and he's pulling snails up out of the ditches. Do you know the cure?
Yes.
Do you know this cure?
Oh, well.
So he puts the snails up out of the ditches. He puts 3 or 4 snails in each hand, wraps them around with 2 handkerchiefs. Says me, say your prayers, this is on a Friday evening. Say your prayers every night from now to Monday. Monday morning they're going to be gone. Monday morning comes, praying each night and whatever. My brother Joe saying, he's only blackguard, all this. My mum saying, no, blah, blah. Anyway, Monday morning comes, pulls them off, all the warts gone in my hand.
Gone.
Wow.
All the warts gone in my hand. Yeah.
But there's a few different cures for the warts, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a few different ones, yeah. So Ian McDonough, a young traveller scientist, he won Young Scientist of the Year when he was 16 years of age. He put forward 28 traveller cures to the HSE who tested them and proved them right.
That the war.
Yeah, and it's not magic. It's just that travellers were people who lived out in the environment in nature. So when you're living out in nature,
They learned these
you're
things.
always testing nature. Does that work here? Does this? It's not about the prayers made it work or not. The saliva that comes from the snail obviously reacts to a certain way when it gets confronted with warts or with skin conditions with human beings.
Well, the
It's science behind it.
antihistamine is in nature.
Yeah, and then the little prayer on top of that gives you the fate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
So it's a mixture of both.
It's a mixture of both.
Do you know
There's
what I mean?
another one where they cut anyone that had warts, they take we'll call it a potato or a spud, whichever you want to call it.
Spud, yeah.
Countrymen call it potato, we'll say spud,
Yeah.
okay? So you cut that in half and they rub it to the children's, if the warts on the hands or anything, which generally would be,
Yeah,
they rub it to that
yeah,
and then go and bury the spud.
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
And within a week or so,
yeah.
the warts was completely
Yeah.
gone.
And then there's people who have certain cures for things. Like my granddad Lily was a travel brief. If you was born before your father died, so your father never got to see you, then you've the cure for certain things. And my granddad Lily Joyce, she's the cure for thrush.
That's right.
People come up and down Ireland to go over to her.
A lot of
She
people bring
cures
children to
people.
her, don't they?
Yeah, they go in and she cures so many people out of
That's
thrush.
right, yeah.
Swear to God,
She
yeah.
take the baby, bring them into where she lives basically.
Yep,
No one sees it, and
Yep.
she come back out.
yep.
3 to 4 days, thrush is completely gone.
That's a fact, yeah.
His tongue your mouth will be all swelled and suffered and roared and crying
Yeah.
the whole night through.
Yeah,
And brand new within a couple of days.
yeah. That's Lily.
When you were saying there, it's a mix of science and religion. I think it's also a mix of the traveller and the countryman.
Absolutely, yeah.
And for me, this is where it's at. We've lovely stuff in common, but we have great cultures also that we can help each other celebrate.
Yeah.
Episode 25, a traveller and a countryman.
Travelling in the country, man. And thanks to John Collins for coming on today.
Thanks for having me,
It's
boys.
been a
Great
pleasure.
old chat.
That was a beauty.
That was
Yes.
good.
So that's us for this episode, a Traveller and a Countryman podcast. If you like it, let us know, share it around, and we'll see you on the road.